This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this very misty, very chilly sunrise safari. Now we're starting off here at Ngala, hoping that the mist is going to dissipate a little bit. Yes. Okay, so this morning you are going to be starting off here again at Ngala, where you'll be stuck with myself, Sean, and we've got the OD behind the camera. There he is. Now our plan for the morning, what I'm wanting to do is see if we can find pretty much any animal. See if we can catch anything coming towards us in the mist. You know, be it a giraffe, an elephant, maybe a lion, or buffaloes. And that's our plan. Where we are heading is down towards where Rowan left the lions yesterday. And we're wanting to head down there. I just want to get an idea where the lions are. In this sort of weather now, this mistiness, this hazy view that we have, means the lions, very good chance they were hunting. This is good hunting conditions for them. So I want to see if they were successful, if they caught anything, and then what we'll do is see what they're doing, see what they're up to. If they're doing cool stuff, for sure we'll stay. If not, then carry on and see if we can find some leopards. Cameron, thank you for that. Saying you're happy to be stuck with me. I am feeling quite happy today. I feel like today is going to be a good day, Cameron. So I'm in a good mood, and I'll happily take you along. They're probably not going to let me keep you for the whole 3 hours, but I'll take you along for the first 15 minutes. Okay, so I've already been kicked off. So I'm going to carry on looking at the mist, see what we can find. And in the meantime, sounds like Lauren has found some elephants.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I have been surrounded by a herd of elephants having their breakfast. The sun is slowly starting to show itself here in Djuma Game Reserve, and it's breakfast time. My name is Lauren, and I do have Davy on camera today, and it's a chilly 10 degrees Celsius and 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So we've got some elephants behind us, some elephants to the side of us. What a wonderful way to start the morning. We actually had a herd of elephants last night on this exact road. I don't imagine it's the same herd, though, as they walk great distances throughout the night. Hello, little one. Hi. Doesn't quite know what to do. Now, every organism, every species has a Latin name. And I definitely don't speak Latin, but every species has one. And it's to classify them. It's to understand which grouping of animals they belong to. You're a noisy eater, you. But normally the Latin names have meanings, so they sound very, very complicated, but they mean something. Oh. Excuse you. An elephant's Latin name, African elephant's Latin name is Loxodonta africana. And what this means, in English, what it translates to is the big teeth of Africa. And they don't necessarily have big teeth inside their mouth. They're definitely bigger than ours. But what it's referring to, and Davy's giving you the perfect view, is the tusks. Most elephants, not all, have tusks. And believe it or not, they're just teeth. They are just modified, elongated incisors. We also have incisors, but they're definitely not as large as an elephant's. So although some elephants get poached for their tusks for ivory, all it is an elongated incisor that's been modified. It starts roughly under the eye and then of course comes out next to the trunk, and they get bigger and bigger as the elephant grows. And that's why they're called Loxodonta africana, the big teeth of Africa, because it's just teeth. They say that a third of the tusk is actually hidden inside, embedded in the elephant's head. You can actually see that just by looking at this elephant, where the tusk starts. Tusks never stop growing unless it's damaged at the root. Unlike us, they'll always keep growing. Now, don't forget to send in your questions, everybody. We want to hear from you. Try not to make them too difficult, but do email them to us at kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. We really, really look forward to hearing from you all. Now, I don't know how easy this is to see, but with this elephant, this youngster here, it's a young girl, I think, her tusk on the left, the one that's closest to us, is bigger, marginally bigger. And this is because, just like us, elephants show preference to one side of their body. So I'm right-handed. Some of you may be left-handed. Some of you may be ambidextrous. But normally, there's a preference for one side. Same with elephants. So they will have one tusk that they prefer to use. And we actually call this the master tusk. Now, the master tusk is normally the shorter one. So on this Ellie, this female, she is right-handed, I think. Her master tusk is on the right because it's shorter. And what that means is she's using it more. She's using it to pull bark off trees or dig into the ground. Whatever it is that she's eating or feeding or playing with, she's using her right tusk. Hello, girl. And this is normally the same with all elephants. You can tell which one's a master tusk. Hello, girl. This is a young female. Look at her mammary glands. Lynette, you're saying you didn't know that. Yes, it's not essentially the same as humans, as in right or left-handed, but... Oh, ho, see you. Someone's a little bit grumpy this morning. She's just shown us that she's here and she sees us. But we know that she's there and we know that she sees us, so don't worry. That wasn't overly aggressive. That was just a head shake. Elephants love a head shake. But yes, Lynette, they show preference to one side of their body. So normally we see they're right-tusked or left-tusked. Okay, I think we're going to bumble on a little bit forward because somewhere in the distance, lions are calling.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. My name is Clive, and behind the camera today we have Marcel, as per usual. So we are out this morning looking for pretty much anything. The last few days, some of the prides of lions here have been quite scarce. We haven't found any cheetah or anything like that. So we're driving around the area where someone last saw some tracks of some lions. And we are just seeing what the day holds for us. We've started coming up to our airstrip, which, as you can see, is quite a big open area, which is a spot that a lot of animals like these wildebeest and zebra will come and sleep at night, because it's a good area to be able to see all around them and make sure there's no predators trying to sneak up on them. So that's why we thought we'd come and check around here. But so far we haven't found any tracks or anything like that. But it's still early in the morning. Morning, Josh. That's a very good question, actually. If other animals will migrate, like wildebeest. So in East Africa, that's where the big wildebeest migration is. And another animal that's here that does that is the zebra. They also do that in the same area. Elephants as well. They will do very long distance, I guess you could call it a migration. There are animals like bats in certain areas in Africa where there are huge migrations of bats. So there are many, yeah. In Botswana, there's a very big, if I'm not mistaken, it's a zebra migration as well. So there are quite a few different migrations that happen around the world. But specifically here in Africa, those are the ones that I've named, or a few of them that I've named anyway. Yeah, actually, Marcel's just had a good point as well. There's what we call the sardine run. Now, those are fish that come up from the cooler waters, and then going into the middle of winter now, they come up to our warm waters along our east coast of South Africa in huge, huge, huge shoals, and that's actually happening at the moment. So yeah, that's another migration. So the sun isn't even up yet, hasn't even risen, and it's still quite nice and nippy. And these when you stop like this and you just watch something like zebra and wildebeest like we're doing now, sometimes it gives you a good opportunity to listen out for some of those alarm calls. I wonder if some of you can remember what kind of animals would be listening out for that would alarm if they saw a predator. If you think about things like monkeys sitting up in the top of the trees will be always looking out for predators, and they'll sound the alarm if they see anything. Something like baboons as well. Oh, the zebra's got a bit of a fright. Even impala, even zebra and wildebeest like this. All the different antelope, nyala and kudu. Yeah, have a look at that wildebeest in the middle. He's got some grass hanging out of his mouth. So all these animals will be making use of the nice cool morning now to start feeding. Most of this herd of wildebeest have moved off to the right and looking for a good place to start feeding this morning. Anyway, I think let's carry on. Let's carry on driving here. We're going to reach the top end of the airstrip soon. And then we're going to go right around and down to a beautiful watering hole on our right-hand side. And we'll go see if there's anything down by the water. Now, I wonder how many of you would like to see some giraffe this morning. As we head down the hill on the right-hand side here, comes out to quite a big open grassland, but with dotted trees around, even up here. So it turns out to be quite a good area. Morning, Trevor. You're asking how tall giraffes can get. Well, that's really going to help us try and find them this morning, because as you know, they are very tall. A big adult male giraffe, if I'm not mistaken, gets to about 5.5 meters or so. So that is really, really big. So that'll help us to find them if we keep looking around the trees, looking for the little head sticking up above the trees. That's exactly what myself and Marcel are looking for. Yeah, so with it being grassland with dotted trees around, that's the reason that it's a very good area for us to be looking for some giraffe. Unfortunately, it's actually one of the animals that won't help us find the predators by sound anyway. They don't have an alarm call like the other animals. They don't make a barking sound like the antelope. They don't make what would I call a monkey sound? A chattering sound like a monkey, or a bark like a baboon. They just stand together and they all stay in one spot. So if you can find the giraffe, excuse me, if you can find the giraffe and you can see if they're all looking in one spot, sometimes that helps you. But they don't make a sound to help us try find anything. Oh, look at the sun just popping up. So I'm just going to move back a few meters just to show you the sunrise. Welcome to an African morning. I think it's going to be a really beautiful day here in South Africa.
I still like that quote of Ernest Hemingway.
What's that?
I never knew of a day that I woke up in Africa. It was not happy.
There we go. Marcel's pearls of wisdom for the morning. Thanks, Marcel. The little band of clouds close to the sun there, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the screen, but those clouds are actually over the Indian Ocean. So we're only about, as it stands here, about between 30 and 40 kilometers from the east coast of South Africa and from the Indian Ocean. So it's very close there. But there's definitely worse ways to start out a day than this, aren't there? Alana, I'm glad you say this is brilliant, and I 100% agree. I hope you've been on safari before and been able to see one of these beautiful South African sunrises before. But if not, we'll bring it to you. Sure, it's actually getting so bright I can't look at it anymore. All right, now the sun is completely up above the land and even the clouds. Again, we're going to carry on. Well, while we continue through these areas, we are going to send you across to James, who's going to say good morning to you.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this end of the Sunrise Safari. We are on the trail of Thandi the leopardess. She walked all over the routes that I drove yesterday. She went out of Djuma. I think she's collected the baby, her youngster, and she's headed in here somewhere. So I'm wondering if perhaps she doesn't have a kill. We're hopefully going to find her today, but I mean, we hope for that every day, don't we? My name is James Hendry, in case you're wondering. BK is on the camera. And we're just going to make sure that we're not driving over her tracks. Thandi is a leopardess who we have been, well, trailing for the last few days. We saw her yesterday morning, didn't find her yesterday evening. Now, I can show you a track, at least. My blanket off. Yeah. So, this is her from yesterday. Can you see that, BK? You got it. That's the track going out of Djuma. There is another set of tracks coming into Djuma, going this way. I don't think you'll be able to see here. Can you see there? Too close. Anyway, there's another track coming along here. I can't see another obvious one because the ground's a bit hard here. But I saw what I thought was the cub's track further back there. But I can't be 100% sure that the cub is with her. But I think it's likely. And I think what's happened is that she's killed something and she's gone to fetch him and has brought him back this way. I could be wrong. It certainly wouldn't be the first time. The more I try and put myself into the shoes of a leopard, the less I seem to be able to fit into them. Anyway, that is the story this end. It is a pretty chilly morning, but I think it's going to be a lovely day once the sun finally deigns to get out of bed and do some warming up of the place. So that's the story as it sits here on the eastern fringes of Djuma. No, Eddie, I haven't seen Tandy's cub since I've been back. Unfortunately, she's been rather reticent in showing it to me. I have seen him once, and that was when somebody... No, twice. I've seen him twice. But those were both times before I went away. So she came marching straight down this road. And I just want some very clear evidence of the cub. I haven't seen any very clear evidence. Anyway, let's keep driving down here. We haven't seen any other animals in this area today. Sire, well, my plea is the same as yours. Please, 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 can we see Tandy and her cub today? I do hope that we can see Tandy and her cub today. Surely it must eventually be allowed, eventually be granted to us. I came driving up this road this morning and I didn't see any tracks because I wasn't even looking. I thought, no, she can't possibly have come back this way. Ah, no, she's gone off the road already. She's not on the road here. So somewhere in this block she has disappeared, right or left of us. I suspect to the left. Most irksome indeed. BKK, she could be sitting, inches from us. This block is not an easy one to get into. Anyway, that is the state of things at the moment. I think what we'll do is we'll drive around, we'll sort of circle the block, see if the tracks pop out, and if they don't, maybe I'll do a little walk in there and see what's going on. I mean, yesterday we were following tracks and she was found nowhere near where we had the tracks. So, I'm not going to give any guarantees here. Lizzie, you're wondering why we wear shorts when it's so cold. In truth, it's not so cold, Lizzie. Let's have a look at that bird up there. It's quite cold. It's just cold for us. We're just not used to it being very cold. And most of us, well, the bird's gone because BK decided to do some break dancing as he moved the camera. Most of us just don't like the feeling of wearing longs for some reason. I don't know why. That's why I don't. I just don't like the feeling of it. So I don't wear longs. And it's going to warm up. If I knew it was going to stay cold the whole day, then maybe I would put on some long pants. But I just don't like the feeling. And, it doesn't get cold here like it does properly in parts of the northern hemisphere. So when we say it's cold, yeah, it's cold for us, but it's really not that cold. And remember also that while it's important to keep your legs warmish, it's much more important to keep the top half of your body warm. All right, let's go north to Ngala and beyond Ngala on the banks of the great Timbavati River and see what SHAUN is wearing.
So yes, I am very chilly this morning. As you can see, I put my beanie on. I took it off at the beginning because I don't want you all to judge me. But then my ears got cold, so I put my beanie back on, my hat on top. And I am very different to James. Sounds like James is worried about the top half, keeping the top half warm, which I am too. I got about 5 layers on the top. But then I also have on long pants, a blanket, the car's heater. So I'm trying to stay as warm as possible. And what we're also trying to do is head uphill. We're trying to go up. So you can see now it's a bit clearer in front of us. If I just turn slightly, Odie, can you pan that way? So you can see in front of us it was quite clear, but if Odie turns that way, okay, besides the sun, you can see just beneath the sun there though, it is quite hazy, quite, well, misty. It is very, very misty. And that's because there's like a riverbed that runs down there. It's a very low-lying area. And then obviously the cold air gathers down there. All of that mist gathers down in these low-lying areas. So that's why this morning, myself and the OD are trying to go up as many hills as possible and just sit there and hope the lions do the same thing. And it should be what they're doing. You know, weather like this, obviously the animals, they do get cold. They have the fur and all of that to keep them warmer than we do. But these animals still get cold. So what we often find on a morning like this, where there is mist, there is a bit of dew, is that the animals will huddle together. So you'll find all the lions together in a little pile. And it's generally in an open area. So a place that we would call a sodic site. So an area that has sort of no grass, it's just sort of sand. Or even on the road is where they would gather and just try and share warmth in the early mornings now. So it makes our lives a little bit easier, because what we're doing is we're looking into open areas. We're looking wherever the sun is. You know, generally in the afternoons you want to be looking in the shade, but now you want to look in the sun. Everything's going to try be in the sun, getting warm from a very cold night, which again, so Abby, I think it was Abby, exactly, they do not have beanies, and that is why I'm glad I'm not a lion. But that is exactly how they keep warm. They will huddle nice together. I'm quite excited to find them early now while it's cold. Sorry, we're just wiping the lens there because of the mist. Because I think those little cubs, those two little cubs, are going to just be, you know, lying on top of other lions, each other, just in this big little lion cuddle puddle, which will be very adorable to see. But that's how they do it, you know. Okay, so while we look for our lion cuddle puddle, what we're going to do is send you across to TAYLA at the Pridelands.
Good morning and welcome to Pridelands here in Bululi Game Reserve, part of the Greater Kruger National Park. My name is TAYLA MCCURDY, and on camera with me today is Kat, and we are freezing, but it's been quite exciting, so the adrenaline is pumping. We have had some male lion tracks, which we started following up on, and then we heard a leopard sawing, so we raced on into the area where we've now found some female leopard tracks. But there are also male leopard tracks around a little bit further east of us. So I don't know who it was that was making all that noise, but I'm hoping to find them. And now we've just got like a whole bunch of buffalo tracks and dung in the road from last night. Oi, there's a daker. I don't know if we're going to see it. It just bounced out of the grass. Let's see if I can find a gap. So we could bump into either a leopard or buffalo. And I'm not going to be able to show you a daker, which is a small antelope, because it has now disappeared into the tall grass. So I think the buffalo that we're walking on this road, maybe it's from yesterday afternoon, so we'll see if they are moving up onto this crest, which I think is what the leopard was doing too. And maybe those buffalo are going to go down towards Leopard Dam to have a drink. We're going to have some very hot days. Oh, never mind, elephants. Don't worry, it's fine. We got this under control today. Hello, elephants. Stress reliever. I'm going to go up just a little bit closer. But you can see the elephants there, just up ahead. It's a whole breeding herd. Fantastic. Or wondermus, which is a new word that has been created. It's a wild earth word. It's marvelous and wonderful all put together. So please start using it. I can't take any credit with it. I didn't come up with that word. And I do apologize if you do see a cloth come across your screen every now and then. That's, of course, Gat. And he has to wipe the fog off of the lens. Now you can see. Otherwise, yes, it's just that cold this morning. But there we go. We have some elephants just breaking down the bushes, and this is actually giving us a good moment to just sit and listen, because I would like to hear either impala alarming fairly close by or some go-away birds shouting furiously, because that might point us in the direction of a leopard, because I would like to see one today, or a lion. Actually, I just want to see all the animals today. But it's not a bad way to start. I'm finding my favorite animal. I think that elephant's got the right idea. It got its bottom facing the sun, warming up that big surface area. I wish I could do the same thing. It would be great. I'd sit up on a tree though. I think I'd behave like a bird rather than maybe an elephant and try and warm up. But there they are, just feeding. Let me reposition because it's not a great view, sorry. The elephants are everywhere, but they're not very close. They're quite far into this block still. So I think this could be, I don't actually know which breeding herd it is. We'll have to see some more members. Morning. There's a little baby. Just trying to sneak in here. Hi, girl. Sorry. I'm so sorry. And yes. Hi, big girl. Hello, big girl. Be nice. Ted's son, who is only 10 years old, you're wondering if elephants get toothache. Shall we ask this elephant? Excuse me, miss. Do you ever get toothache? Ted, I haven't quite worked out how to talk elephant yet, but I'm working on it. I think sometimes they must get toothache. Maybe. But I'm not really sure if they do. I'm sure if they break their tusks, so those big white things that are hanging off their faces, those are also teeth. They're just used in a different way. I'm sure that must be very painful. I'm sure it must be sore. Oh, hello. But whether or not they get toothache, I'm uncertain, I'm afraid. But if they do get toothache, you know what they can do, Ted? They can go and eat on a tree called a tamboti, and that might help with a toothache. That's what what a local tradition to do is, if you do have a bit of toothache, you take the milky latex from a tree called the tamboti tree. It's actually quite poisonous, and you can put it on and it will give you some temporary relief. But you don't want to do it all the time, because it will eventually kill the nerves and your teeth will fall out. So, use it sparingly. But there they all go. It's actually quite nice with the fog on the lens this morning. It gives this mysterious look to everything. It's very eerie, especially with the golden light as well. I'm sure you'll all agree. I was joking earlier, it looks like we've got a radial filter on everything. That's what we shall do. Shall we shoot freehand? Not freehand. Why am I hungry so early in the morning? Freehand. And do the Blair Witches Project today. I don't know. We'll try and see how it goes. But with elephants. So from these elephants, because they are actually moving onto the top of the crest, and then they're going to sort of probably make their way down the hill. But there's this huge rocky ridge that I constantly keep talking about. And I think that if I was a leopard, I would climb up onto some of these rocks and maybe reach for the top of the sun. So I think, that's what we're actually going to do. I think let's move off, just because we were very focused on finding a leopard. And there's a couple of rocky little outcrops that are nice and open that we can see from the road. And I just want to see if there is a leopard sitting up on top of there, because that mother with the 2 cubs, the pixie pan female, she brought her cubs back into this area. She normally stashes them along here. And every single time we come past here, we say we're going to see a leopard. Are we? What is that? That thing up there doesn't look like something I've seen before. No, but it's a rock. It's always been there. Okay, so we'll just go around the bend and then I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. These little rocky outcrops. Oh, the elephants are all moving through here. They might even chase the leopard out for us. So if we have a look up top there, I'm also going to get my binoculars because I want to scan some of the sections of the rock. see if I can see anything. So you see, that's the perfect spot there. Look at all those little caves in between the rocks. That would be the perfect spot to hide young leopard cubs while Mom goes off hunting. And this entire ridge, I don't even know how many kilometers in length it is, but it's a huge section. And then, of course, it's the first place to catch the warm rays in the morning. So I think actually on the northern side of this ridge, just on the other side, would be the best spot. Because here towards the back, it doesn't get too much sun, or it gets sun later. So that's the plan, is to just drive around here and to check all these rocky crevices. And hopefully we can relocate the pixie pan female. But Shumungwe, who is also a male leopard that we've seen before, he was seen very briefly yesterday morning, but like so briefly. He tried to catch a warthog. Oh, I found that out last night. So he's around as well. So they're on his tracks. Norman, who found the pixie pan female, is actually tracking the male leopard as we speak. So fingers crossed that he is going to help us out, and I'll entertain you with other things, and then he can come and call us when he's found him. He's a brilliant tracker. But this is the section that I really... Oh, giraffe! This is the new Marula Lane. Hey? I can't find you a leopard, but I can drive into everything else. We'll have a look at the giraffe quickly as well. Giraffe, find us a leopard, please. It's checking behind me on that ridge. So we're coming into the area where this leopard, she just lives around here. Stop moving, giraffe. Okay. Almost ready. I've got to get ahead of him because he's going quickly. Oh, we're going to have a silhouetted giraffe. I'm getting you the second gap. Boop. Oh, sorry, did I park you in the trees? Kelly, yes, you're absolutely correct. That elephant was lifting its trunk up to wave at all the other animals. It's very important. It's something that I do even at the ripe old age of 27, is you must wave at the animals or to the animals when you drive past. You have to be friendly. Otherwise, Kelly, they're just going to hide away from you. So yes, but the other thing that elephant could have been doing is, as it was waving and saying, good morning TAYLA and Khat and everybody else, was it might have been smelling the air too. Because remember, the trunk is an extension of the nose, so they use that to smell things. So elephants rely on their sense of smell very, or quite a bit, and maybe they were just uncertain about something. Ah, look how gorgeous that is. So there goes a giraffe and some birds. Sure, this road is full of animals, but our giraffe is about to disappear now. You can see he's getting tangled in all the trees. We're going to continue searching this basalt ridge to look for the leopard, and hopefully we'll find her.
Good morning from another fantastic day out here at Swala Kalahari. Jean-Andre, old birthday boy from yesterday, on camera, and Dylan, myself. It's just another stunning day out here. I'm really pleased that you could all join us again. We disappeared a little bit early yesterday. Just we had a slight vehicle problem, so we ended up having to be given a lift back from one of the other guides. But anyway, we managed to survive, and all's well that ends well. We are now sitting at this waterhole. We're not going to sit here too long, but we had two cheetah males that were moving in this direction, but it was still pitch dark when we saw them when we came out here. So we just thought we were going to take an absolute chance, sit down at the water. Maybe we'll be very lucky and see them if they come down to drink. But cheetah don't need to drink, so it could be that they actually just bypass us completely and we miss it. But that's part of it. So, but feel free to ask questions, chat. I'm still so excited about that porcupine burrow we had yesterday. I mean, that was just, I was completely blown away. And yeah, as I say, always something new out of Africa. You can see from the ripples on the water, there's a lot of wind this morning. So when we head up to the meerkats later, it'll be interesting to see how they're reacting around it. Royan has just commented, you guys have a vehicle, but you're always sitting down. You know what, vehicles are they serve their purpose, but Genre and I, we really prefer to be out on foot and trying to experience the outdoors like that. That for us, that's what we enjoy doing. And I think, if we enjoy it, then we like to believe that others will enjoy it as well. So, and I mean, you can see a lot of smaller things like that as well. So, but vehicles have their place, and that's because we got such massive distances to cover in this area. That's really, I mean, that's how we get from A to B. We wouldn't be able to do this if we didn't have a vehicle. So, we're just chuckling now. So where we're sitting, we've got a high dam wall between us, and the risk of this, and I guess it's with any sighting, whether it's lions or elephants or leopard or a tortoise, you can sit in one place hoping it comes down, but it could just bypass you on the other side very, very easily. So this is a bit of a long shot we're taking here, but it's good to be out here, and it's good having you all with us. Got some lapwings on the edge of the water over here, little blacksmith lapwings foraging. Otherwise it's still fairly quiet. Yeah. No, this is a spectacularly beautiful morning out here, and we get really, really spoiled because it's, every morning, doesn't matter how hot it is or how cold it is or how windy it is, every morning is special and every morning is beautiful, and it's, for us, it's just such a privilege being able to share it with all of you. So we're just going to sit here a little bit longer and see if anything comes down.
One moment. I don't think I've ever been quite so close to a waterbuck before. He was so absolutely gobsmacked that I hadn't seen him. I was staring into the sun, trying to see if I could get a picture of Thandi, or where she'd gone, and I must have been 3 inches from this waterbuck when we drove past him. And all I heard from BK, who was polite to a fault, was Malu, which means uncle. Anyway, 3 waterbuck bulls. The tracks I haven't seen further sign of, so we've come back to where she came out of Torchwood, which is the reserve east of Djuma, and we're going to see quickly if we can find tracks of the cub so we can confirm precisely whether or not she's brought the cub back to Djuma or whether she's just gone hunting again as she has done for the past 3 days. Right, quickly over to TAYLA.
Okay, we did have something exciting, but now we need to look behind all the trees because we found the impala female, the impala ewe with horns. Where are you? She's got funny horns. She's in here. We just saw her, but she's just gone behind, I think it's a gardenia that they're all feeding on. We'll just keep a lookout because they seem to be filtering out to the right. I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? Please, you have to excuse me for 2 seconds because I'm going to look with my binoculars because I can't actually see all of them at once. If I can get an idea of where they are or where she is, this would be very helpful. But it's so cool to see. She's got very flimsy horns. They don't stand upright like the male's beautiful horns. They kind of flop to the side. Okay, let's see. The ewes are moving off to the right. Is she going to follow? Zebra, get out of the way. We're trying to look for an impala here. A very special one. Also, I don't know why MTN has to send me 6,000 SMSs. Okay, we're looking. Gert, are you also looking? No, have you stopped looking? It's looking at the zebra. Get out the way, zebra. So that U is basically, I think she's like literally behind the trees. Oh, she was standing out here and they opened so nicely. And this is normally quite a nervous herd of impala. This is actually the most relaxed I've seen them. Every time we stop with them, they dart away. Oh, I was hoping we were going to get her. I still have hope. I'm hoping we can just even get a glimpse. Where is she? I've completely lost her. Let me go for... Oh, there she is, there she is, there she is. Zoom in, zoom. I'm going to go forward. Stay like that. Excuse her. She's by the zebra. Okay. Oh, I need to go even more forward for you. Sorry, stay like that. So, where the zebra is, she's to the left. Can't stop moving. So, yeah, there she is. She's the impala, this one, here. So she's got her bum towards us at the moment. She's in the center of the screen. Watch when she lifts her head up. Lift her. I think it's this one. It looks like it. Sorry, everybody. This is all very exciting because it's unusual for an impala female to have horns. I hope it is her. Yes, it's her. So I'm not really sure as to what's happened to her and why this has happened. Perhaps she just had too much testosterone. It's a genetic malfunction of some sort. But it doesn't change her in any way. It just means that she's got these really flimsy horns. I actually would like to... It'd be amazing to be able to feel how solid they are. Zebra, move out of the way. Oh, classic zebra. But you can see how they're super thin, and they don't even know which direction they're supposed to grow, and they're even almost hooking over, which is quite cool to see. So there we go. Very interesting. But now I think that that's going to be the end of our view because she's disappearing right into the back. I think that's her feeding just above the zebra's bottom, if I'm not mistaken. Come on, zebra, off you go. Keep going. Yeah, no, she's just tucked away behind there. Ellie, yes, unicorn is a good name, except she's got two horns. So I don't know what we would call her. But it was really nice to see. Aha! Finally. Goodness gracious, I've been talking about her for so long. Hopefully I have not disappointed you, and you were expecting like a unbelievable display of horns, but no. But I don't think she'll pass that down. I don't think it's a recessive gene of any sorts. I literally just think something, just whether it's a hormone imbalance or some kind of genetic mutation that has happened, but I don't think she'll pass that trait on to her offspring. Very interesting. You can see all the impala. I'm just very happy though. Mayo, I'm glad that you think it's cool. It was very cool, even though just a quick glimpse. We know that she is here and with this herd with the two zebra. So we can always come back in the afternoon and try and find her. But unfortunately, there's no more roads that go all the way around towards that ridge, which is going to make it very tricky for us to try and find her. Charlotte, that's a great question. And you know, seeing female impala with horns is not very common. It's not unheard of. It actually has happened in many different places, even in the Sabi Sand. And I'm sure we always just overlook them. So I can't see why the males wouldn't mate with her, because if she goes into estrus, she's still going to give off the same scent that drives the boys crazy and drives them to mate with the female. So I think they would, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. But very interesting nonetheless, though. No, she's not coming out again. Maybe. I'm sure she was there on the right. She sort of just moved just out of view. She could be that one with the bottom facing us now. Wow. That was not something I thought I was going to show you this morning. Right, fingers crossed, everybody, that the next thing we see is a leopard. Right. Sorry, it seems as though we're just having some issues everywhere else, so you're going to stay with me. It looks like that is I want to keep calling her a name. I can't call her that. The one with the rump, that one that's facing us, she's the one just behind it. There we go. You can just see her bum, unfortunately. But that is her. Oh, that one looks like she's feeding on a dwarf bush cherry. That impala's feeding on a very small shrub. Looks like a dwarf bush cherry. Not a plant that we see all the time. I haven't done too many plants with you. It's a pity that we weren't here in summer because, oh my goodness, it's amazing. But I will definitely try and do some more because I want to go climbing up on this basalt ridge that runs through here because I want to see which species of aloe is growing there, and I'm sure there'll be some other really cool plants growing in between the crevices of the rocks that maybe I haven't seen before or seen for a very long time. So definitely go exploring at some point. Be nice to do bushwalks here. I think the game viewing on foot is unbelievable. You see, yeah, there she goes. Another quick glimpse of her. But she's got her head down on the ground. But I think that you will get the gist of it now that we've caught a glimpse of this impala ewe with horns. Perhaps we'll see her again.
So not so much joy on the cheetah, unfortunately, but we have something else quite interesting here that Jean-Andre has noticed, and it's pretty cool. So these little blacksmith lapwings, which are these beautiful black and white birds that are now foraging along the edge of the water here. But what we've noticed is that the other days that we've been, excuse me, that we've been sitting at this dam, is the water has been incredibly calm, hardly a ripple. And they've been foraging all the way up and down along the edges, back and forth, back and forth. And today it's quite interesting because we've got a strong breeze pushing out of the north, and they're all foraging on the southern end of this dam. So what we're thinking here is that all these little prey items that they're going for, all these little pond skaters, are actually being blown right onto the southern edge of the dam now. So it's actually, again, there's another pun there. It's a bit of a windfall for them because, the wind is just pushing all these little insects into one quarter over here. So it's making their foraging super, super, super easy with minimal energy expenditure. And we were chatting about the meerkats the other day. When you look at small animals, so much of what their foraging goes about is purely about energy loss, energy gain. So if you can forage and lose as little energy while you're doing it, that is optimal. Obviously assuming that you're actually getting food items. And so I think this morning these lapwings are scoring the whole way. It just shows you that's kind of like the vagaries of nature. You can forage like this one morning and you just get it so easy, and then other days you really, really, really got to work hard for your food. And I guess it would be the same with meerkats or a colony of mole rats that encounters a nice big subterranean tuber that they can feed on for a week or two, as opposed to having to ferret out all these small things all the time. So Rory Kiki says that this makes catching breakfast a breeze. Very good, very, very good. I love those play on words, very, very witty. But it's lovely to watch them, just going along there, dipping. So these birds they typically forage along the edge of the water, but they won't only, in fact, where we are staying at our research centre, there's a pair of these blacksmith lapwings that have taken up residence there, not permanent it seems, but they seem to be there probably 3-4 times a week during the middle of the day in between the buildings. There's not a drop of water in sight. The nearest water is probably about 2 kilometers away. So they're not strictly confined to the edges of water bodies, but this certainly is their preferred habitat. And they'll even forage away from the water sometimes. And there's some doves coming in to drink now as well. Oh, and it would be incredibly tough to actually get it on film. We'd be extremely lucky. But when we're sitting out at the meerkat, so from where we are now to where the meerkats are is about 2.5 kilometers in a straight line. But while we're sitting there in the mornings, waiting for the meerkats to do their thing, you get these big groups of doves that come flying over low level and super, super, super fast. But they're going from that direction where the meerkats are straight to this dam. So as we're sitting here now watching these lapwings, then you're starting to see doves arriving bit by bit by bit. And this for me is the exciting part, because you're sitting here, you never know what's going to rock up. Okay, so we weren't lucky with the cheetah this morning, but hey, that's part and parcel of what we do out here. And that's what makes it fun. I think I'd be quite bleak if we went out every morning knowing exactly what we would see every morning. It would kind of like take that surprise element out of it. So I think we'll give it another 10-15 minutes here and see if there's any life on this wicket.
Okay, so we've had some developments on our side. We have found the tracks of the lions. So the tracks head sort of straight up this road. So what we've done is essentially a big U. So we sort of started at the camp, which is roughly here where my finger is. Then we went across, we went down, we're now going across, and now we're going back up. So the lions fooled us. Looks like they headed straight towards the tented camp. And I don't think they made it that far, because we did drive the road there and we didn't see any tracks. Although, when we left this morning it was dark and misty, so we could have missed them. But at least we know what direction they are heading. They're going up this way, along this very road. At the moment, they are not on the road. They're probably just walking on the side there. But the tracks will join up again. We have people off in front of us. One of the tracking teams, I know Nicky's there. I'm not sure if he's tracking with Yapi or Eric. But they got the tracks. In fact, if I reverse a bit, let me just reverse straight back here and show you. Eddie, can you get that there? Okay, so you can see that on the ground there is lion scat. Let me just leave my blanket here. There we go. So you can see here, all of this, it smells horrible. But this is lion scat, and it's actually quite disgusting. Like, the different colors. Pretty horrible. Obviously, whatever they've eaten, it actually looks like, you can see like a bit of meat here, when you kind of fill it and it's got a bit of sinew and that sort of thing. That's exactly what that looks like over there. It is horrible. You can see on this side, I don't know how well you can see, but there's like bits of almost like fur. When they're cleaning a carcass, whatever they ate 2 nights ago, they lick that fur off. Sometimes they do swallow a bit of the fur. And if you come back here with this heat, maybe 2 days, and it's nice and dry, it starts to crumble and you just get looks like a hairball. Pretty disgusting. But it's a good sign. It means they walk down this road. You can see it. It's still fairly sort of soft. It's obviously quite cold from the weather. But, that tells us it's fresh. It's last night. We know their tracks are here. So for us, when we're tracking, that's a fairly good sign. It's telling us, okay, guys, you're going the right way. You're on the right track. So it's awesome. So we're going to continue the pursuit as soon as I've wrapped up here, because it is still a bit chilly. There we go. Okay, so it seems like the kit session is over, but everyone, you can now all send your questions to us. Just remember to do that. You want to go #WildEarth on the Twitter feed, and then @FC on YouTube. And please do send your questions. Please do send your questions. It's nice to see how you think and what you want to know about, so we can streamline our drives a bit more for you, or at least I can. So how beautiful that is. Stunning. Okay, what we're going to do though, try not to admire the sunrise for too long. See if we can find these lions.
So as you can see, we've come out to this beautiful open floodplain, or a big grassland here on Untitled Private Game Reserve. The sun is well up in the sky now, and it's definitely warming up, but you can see there's actually still a little bit of mist down there. So we've been scanning from up on this great lookout point here, and there's sorry, we've got a little urgent update that we're going to send you across to Swallow quickly. He's got something exciting there for you.
We've just been spotted. We're sitting at this jackal. One jackal came out to drink, and then two others arrived behind him. The third one's just moved off now. This is fantastic, and this is exactly what I was saying. You never know what is going to arrive, ever. Ah, look how gorgeous those animals are. Look at that, look at that. He just came in, had a quick drink, then he moved off. So those are black-backed jackals. This is so beautiful. I mean, just sitting here like this quietly is just an absolute winner. I think we might actually spend a bit longer here this morning, depending what comes out. Veronique, the meerkatter, she is heading up to the meerkat, so she'll keep us posted if there's any developments up that side. But I think maybe perhaps let's just spend a bit of time here this morning and see what else comes out. We know the cheetah are definitely in the area. Like I mentioned, we saw them. Unfortunately, it was pitch dark at the time. Because Jandra and I, to get out here, we start walking from where we stayed about 1 o'clock in the morning. It takes us five hours to get here. 4 hours to get here on foot. So we saw them in the dark. Are your feet okay, Jandre? They're not too sore. No, he says his feet are very sore from walking this morning. It's good seeing you all. Well, kind of like through here. But it's... See, these lapwings are still foraging across here to the right. But if those jackals came out, anything could come out. Thank you, Jenny. Jenny says that was so cool. It certainly was. And these little black-backed jackals are really remarkable animals. You know, we've mentioned before, they kind of equate to dingoes in Australia, coyotes in the States, and dholes in India. It's kind of that similar ecological niche that they fill there. But they are real survivors, eh? And, you know, in the face of all these other large carnivores in African savannas, you know, jackals persist, and they thrive, actually, rather more than just persist. And super adaptable. I mean, you watch them catching birds at waterholes like this, and you think, well, how does a dog snatch a bird? But they do. They are remarkably adaptable little predators. And if any of you are wondering, we don't have crocodiles and things in these areas. You know, so some of the other reserves that we're at have got crocodiles and hippos. We don't have those here.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that jackal sighting. It looked really nice. But we've come back to this big open expanse of a view that we've got here. Myself and Marcel just wanted to stop here and have a scan around and see if we could spot anything out here. And we've seen quite a big herd of wildebeest, a couple of zebra out here as well. And again, because it's a big grassland, there's lots of food for the animals that eat grass, like those animals that I've just discussed right now. There's also a good source of water straight out ahead of us. This actual area that we're in is a riverbed, and so it's a seasonal river though, so it's only when there's a lot of rain that this river will actually flow. And this whole grassland here, sometimes when there is a huge amount of rain, this river will burst its banks and this whole area becomes a floodplain, so it's just all water. And I've only seen that once, about 2 years ago that happened, that this whole floodplain flooded over. And speaking to someone who's been here a very long time, I think he said at that time, the only time he had seen it before that was about 10 years before that, so it doesn't happen often. Felix, you're wondering if these animals sometimes go to the ocean? No, this area that we're in here, they've got everything they need. They've got water and grass. There could be some of the smaller animals maybe that go through fences, and because between us and the sea there's a couple of communities, there's a lot of people that live around there, but there could be animals, even things like leopard, that are so sneaky with how they move. Even them, they'll be able to move through human settlements without even being seen. And there'll be a couple of smaller animals. I know out there a lot of like porcupine and things like that get seen. So there might be a few, but the bulk of the bigger animals will stay here. Really pretty area though. Right, I think we are going to head on down. We're going to just move down this steep little hill here. Gonna have to change gears. And for now we're going to send you across to TAYLA, who has some lions.
We do indeed. We are just watching a lion. I know it's quite difficult to see as he's quite camouflaged in the grass. So we did pick up on lion tracks. We just had one set going towards Leopard Dam, but they were moving east. And then we got distracted because we heard the leopard sawing. So I was very excited to follow up on the leopard. And the other guys came around and found the lions. There's 2 of them. By the looks of it, it looks like the 2 young males that we have seen before that we suspect were booted out of the Ngati Pride, which is the pride of lions that we see all the time. And it's good that they're back because they've been very quiet since they got chased off of the buffalo kill that they had made just to the north of Leopard Dam, in fact. So I think this one with the tattered ears perhaps is the male that has a bit of a limp. If you remember correctly, he was the one that had the very tatty ears, a little bit more scarred than the other male. Hello. Yes, he's got very tatty ears. So this is the male with the limp, and it is definitely the younger boys. It's nice for them to see. I did hear that the other male is just further off into the bushes. He was going on a bit of a walkabout. And Steve, one of the other instructors at Eco Training, went in to try and follow him. I can actually just see him moving out now. But I think we'll just stick here for the meantime and see if they rejoin one another. So if this male gets up and sort of moves a little bit to the west, then we will probably head in that direction and follow him in. I don't think that they'll get up to too much today. I think that they'll probably just sit here and rest up in the shade. Nice trees, some rocks that they can lie between. very cozy camouflage spot. And they'd be sitting in an sort of animal highway, a sort of hot spot where animals are constantly coming through and passing by this area. Beverly, they are handsome males. They definitely have a look about them. But they've been given a bit of a hiding by the two older males that we got to spend a bit of time with. So they're very jumpy, they're very nervous. So we're exceptionally far away. Like I said, I don't really want to go and move them around too much, just because I know what their behavior can be like. And I don't blame them. I really don't. I'd be terrified too if two big male lions chased me around and maybe swatted me with their paws. So I think that we will give them their room, but it's just good to see that they're around, because honestly, we had no idea where they went. We thought that they pushed into Jajani, which is a property just north of us. We don't have access to traverse there, and that would have been their easiest escape route. And then I also don't know where the two big males have gone. They kind of just vanished off to the east. They might be sitting with the rest of the lionesses, just maybe showing their presence to make sure they keep these young boys away, because they keep trying to rejoin the pride, but they've obviously been told they're not allowed to do that anymore. They're of age. They must go away and go live somewhere else. That's what the other male lions are saying. That was me putting it in polite terms as acceptable. What you gonna do? Oh, he's getting up. Oh, still got a very bad limp. Sorry, boy. He's got an injury on his paw. Ray, it's so tough, hey? You know, your eyes just becomes trained to look for things that don't belong. So ears sticking out of the grass. I can't really describe it to you. It just sort of happens after years and years of spending time in the bush. See, the way that lion is going, I can't follow him through there. Also, I don't want to push him too much because he's hobbling along as is. So I don't know what this sort of setup looked like when the other guides first arrived. They might have been laying a little bit out in the open, or they could have seen the second male that is here. He just, he was just moving. So maybe they caught that sort of silhouette moving through. Okay, I don't think we're going to go in here. I just feel like I know, sorry, I'm making all sorts of sounds this morning. I just feel like I know what these lions are like, and I don't want to put too much pressure on them. So I think we might even leave them and just let them be, and hopefully they come out. But I'm glad we got to see them. Again, we've got the sunset safari. They most definitely go have a drink. Maybe they'll head towards another section of the rocky ridge just to the east of us, which is really nice, and it sort of opens up quite a bit. It'd be good. Lots of animals around there. They look like they need a meal. So yeah, that's kind of going to be the plan. But we're just a little bit stuck here at the moment. So I'm deciding where we're going to go from here. So the other reason that I don't want to off-road here is there are a lot of rocks, and I don't want to break the car. I won't do that because I'll get into big trouble. So we won't do any off-roading through here. We'll just let them be for the afternoon, and I'm sure that they'll come out in the afternoon. I did see some elephants walking across and just in the distance, so I think we'll go and follow up on them. Or if you go across to Dylan, who's staring at a watering hole.
So we are still waiting here. Since the three little jackals arrived and moved off, we've had no other animals coming down, but the lapwings are still foraging. The breeze seems to be dying down a fraction, so I'm hoping it'll go and settle just now, which will be really, really good. It means the temperature will pick up a bit. There's apparently another cold front moving through our area later today. So I'm hoping by cold front I don't mean sub-zero temperatures. Chandra, I don't know if you're able to get onto that group of lapwings. I know it's quite. So we're doing a bit of a contortionist act in where we're sitting over here. But I really want you to have a look at these lapwings, these youngsters. They are extremely pretty birds when they're young. Look at that. So the adult is the one right at the in the middle there now, and there's three youngsters. So those beautiful brown and grey and black patterns with the white. So this is wonderful that these adults have actually successfully raised all 3 chicks. They nest completely out in the open, exposed on the edges of these dams. So you can imagine, okay, there's an animal coming in straight behind those lapwings. I don't know what it is. What is it? I just see legs. It's a buffalo. Oh my goodness. It's a buffalo. There's a big buffalo bull. Sorry, Jane, please repeat that question. What would be the least, something about a mammal? The least what mammal? What would be the least water-dependent mammal on Swalu? Well, if you take something like meerkats, they don't have to drink. I personally have never seen a meerkat drinking. That's not to say they don't drink. The other one is something like a steenbok. I've yet to see a steenbok drink water on Swalu. Again, I'm not saying they don't, but I've never seen them drink. Cheetah, again, they don't need to drink. But, you know, if that's why we're sitting waiting for these cheetah males, as an example. It's like they will come down if there's water available, they will drink freely, no problem, but they don't need to drink. So a lot of these species would be water independent, but will drink it if it's available. But then, like I say, you get these things like meerkats that I've never seen doing it. Steenbok, I've never seen drinking water. Gemsbok, again, they live in these incredibly arid environments. You know, those ones that we also call oryx, those beautiful big antelope with the black and white bellies and the facial markings and the straight horns. They don't need to drink water either, but if it's available, they will definitely drink it. So there's lots of degrees here, but I would be putting my money on things like steenbok, meerkats. But then you get animals like mole rats that live underground their entire life. They never, ever come to surface water. And I think, I just want to go on about that question that you just asked there, because it's quite an interesting thing, is we talk about water independence. That is, to our mind, an animal won't come and drink water like this buffalo bull or that jackal earlier. But every single organism on the planet is water dependent. There is nothing that can survive without water in its body. So when we say water independent, we're just literally talking about one animal will not drink water. But those animals that aren't drinking water, like the meerkats and the steenbok and the mole rats, things like that, or cheetahs in very arid areas, they're still getting moisture from their prey. And that is very, very, very important. So good question. That's a lovely question. So if anyone's wondering, well, I'm sure a number of people are wondering about that red marker in that buffalo's ear. That was many years ago. This is a very, very old bull. You can actually see his horns are wearing off, and even his body condition is starting to get quite thin. And guys were just doing blood tests on buffalo, a number of vets, and this is probably 8 years ago. So that is a tiny, tiny little tag just to identify an individual. But we got very, very few of those animals around here. I'm actually surprised to see this bull. Geez, I haven't seen him in years. Well, no, not years. I'd probably say 4 or 5 months.
Look at this very sweet little scene. I don't know if these 2 squirrels have been caught frozen in flagrante delicto, or if they're just huddling for warmth. Whatever the case, it is a very sweet little scene. There doesn't seem to be a great deal of movement, so if there is love involved, of the carnal kind, I mean, well, then it's very, very gentle. lovely colours of the ebony tree, the green leaves, and of course the gold and copper of the squirrels. The sun slowly starting to warm their worlds, and I will tell you that I have walked and now driven many parts of the area where Tundi's tracks went, and I've come up with nothing. Well, that's not a very unfamiliar story, but we'll keep searching as the morning progresses, stopping for beautiful little scenes like this one. I think I might have to take a photograph of it, BK. So delightfully sweet, is it? I really don't know what this lot are up to. If they are attempting to make other squirrels, it's a very slow and romantic process. Oh, here we go. Yeah, I don't think that's just huddling. I don't think that's just huddling for warmth. I think that certainly at least one member of this party is keen on, shall we say, some activity that might warm them up. We're now engaging in some grooming. Dylan, squirrels do have a mating season. Of course, can I remember when it is? I'll just check for you quickly. I don't think it's now. I'm pretty sure it's in the summer. Reproduction, January and June. Oh no, males show testicular regression between January and June. So the opposite of mating. Wet summer months, yeah. The young may be born at any time of the year, but a far higher percentage is born during the warm, wet summer months from October to April. There you go. So what we have here, I think, is just a little bit of warming carnal love. Although it's definitely only being expressed in the carnal sense by what one... The males are normally bigger than the females anyway, and the one on top there seems to be smaller. Magnificent little scene. From a tiny little squirrel, let's go to a very large pachyderm.
I think this is the same elephant herd we had earlier, actually, because we've done a ginormous loop. The Incahumas, I am convinced, are on our property. We've got tracks for the entire pride. They go into a block. So normally what you do in that situation is go and check the boundary lines to make sure they've not crossed out. There's no point in bunda bashing through a thick block if the lines are in fact not there. So they don't appear to have crossed out. So we're back to almost where we started. I'm pretty sure this is the same herd. I recognize some of the individuals. They haven't really moved too far. And what we're going to do is go back and look for those lions. I'm convinced they're here. Of course, Mohawk and Blondie. Oh, Mohawk, sorry. I think it was just one. Was seen on the dam cam last night around 1 o'clock. And they are our Avoca coalition. But I think the rest of the pride is here too. But it's cold, so it's much warmer to be in the middle of blocks than it is to be out on exposed open roads where you're going to get the cold and the wind chill. This is a really large herd. They're quite spaced out, but of course they're always communicating to one another. Elephants have such a diverse range of communications. They can communicate through posturing. That's what we very often see when they do the head shake, their tails, their ears. Or they can communicate vocally, which is what we hear. Trumpeting, even screaming. I have heard an elephant scream. And this can either be due to excitement or anger, depending on the situation. Okay, I don't think this is the best views. Let us go forward. Elephants are everywhere. Now, if they continue down this way, that's where the lions are, and the elephants will not be happy with that. Sure, you're asking how long do elephants normally live up to in the wild? Well, anywhere between 60 to 70 years old on average. And this is due to their molars. They have very, very specialized molars that come in sets. And they're very unique. There's 6 sets of molars that come in at different stages in their lifetime. First set comes in at 1 year, second set comes in at 2 years, set 3 comes in at 6 years, then 15, then 28, then 47. And that last set has got to last them. So they say that the elephants up in the Masai Mara tend to live longer than the elephants down here. And it's based on diet. In the Masai Mara, their diet is predominantly grasses, soft, palatable grasses all year round. Whereas here, in winter, they have to eat twigs and sticks and branches, trees, shrubs, and that wears down the teeth quicker. So if an elephant doesn't die from disease or parasites, then it's normally the wearing down of the teeth. And that's anywhere between 60 to 7 years. Oh, I haven't heard that noise for a very long time. That is not the elephants, everybody. That is a flight in the sky. Wow, I just haven't heard that sound in so long. So yes, they have a really long life, elephants, long lifespan. Unless, of course, humans are involved. You can see this little youngster's chewing on a branch of some sort, and that's going to have a bigger impact on the teeth than wood grass. I actually have a tooth here. I've showed it many times, but I think since we're talking about teeth, I'm going to point it out to you. Now, this was in our tent where we had permission to have things like this, but I could not sort of take this out of the Sabi sands. This wouldn't be allowed. It's essentially a tooth, which is ivory. So here's my little porky pointer, and you can see, well, you can sort of get an idea of size. I think this would be molar 2 or 3. And if I turn it this way, you see the ridges. These are called transverse ridges. Asian elephants don't have these. Their molars are slightly different looking. And that's one of an elephant's molar. Right there. And once they wear down, the transverse ridges go, they can't masticate their food anymore. And that's why they end up passing away. I just keep this tooth with me so that I can actually show it to people. Kobold, I haven't. Sorry, I'm just watching these two here. What are you doing? I think they're just playing, nothing too aggressive. Cobalt, no, the milk teeth tend to get reabsorbed or swallowed. It's not something that you find on the ground, like you can find shark's teeth when you're swimming in the ocean, or human baby teeth that fall out. They normally tend to get swallowed back up. A little bit will be reabsorbed and the rest will be digested. But if you don't, what are you two doing? I think it's two boys. Well, the first one's definitely a boy. I think the second one is two. These are just youngsters wanting to play. Oh, naughty. But yes, if we did find a pair of tusks, we wouldn't be allowed to touch them or take them. We'd have to call the Sabi Sands, and they would deal with them. They would remove them. They wouldn't allow them to just remain on the ground because they're ivory and there's such a, well, poaching's a huge problem. The Sabi Sands would come and remove those tusks. I wouldn't be able to take them back to camp or anything like that. The elephant populations are thriving here. But of course, there's still high levels of poaching for their tusks. And there's so many incredible people across the world working really hard to protect the elephants and come up with ideas and methods that can prevent that. And one of the ideas is there's a chemical that you can actually encourage the elephants to ingest. So you'd maybe tamper with their food source or try and leave some food out for them that's tainted with this chemical. And once it's digested and it enters into the bloodstream, it actually colours the tusks pink, bright pink. So you just have these fabulous elephants walking around with bright pink tusks. And of course that deters poachers. They don't want a pair of pink tusks. So not only do the elephants look fabulous and they're not harmed, the poachers do not want to poach that elephant. I'm just going to go a little bit forward. Make sure nobody's behind me. Okay, now I'm going to try and get past these ginormous roadblocks to look for my lions. But as I do that, we are going to send you back across to Dylan, who's still at the waterhole.
So since that buffalo moved off, it's been fairly quiet. Just more and more doves coming in, but we're just absolutely loving this light on the water. This play of light on the water is simply gorgeous. With the ripples, it's just giving it that ethereal feel there. Yeah, it's beautiful. And that's the thing. It doesn't have to just be about animals and birds and plants and insects and stuff. Sometimes it's just the light itself is just absolutely magical. And that's what we're seeing here. So yeah, first prize, you get something exciting coming down. But sometimes just absorbing it for the moment. They're living for that moment rather than having to see something. That's the essence of it. Oh, it's so beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. That buffalo was perfect timing just now. Watching some birds, and then you get these big legs appearing out of the bushes. And these lapwings are still foraging on the southern side of the dam here. Still capitalizing on the vagaries of the wind. Yeah, those of you who think this is peaceful, it really, really, really is. It is. I think we might just sleep here today. So I love doing these little like sit-outs, these stakeouts, where we just spend time in one place. Zoo Lyric has just asked, where do we ever go fishing here? Unfortunately, there are no fish in these dams. What we're seeing here is still the remnants of the last rains. So by the end of, let's say, end of October, going into early November, that's kind of the start of the rainy season. But by that point, our temperatures are climbing into the high 30s, even low 40s. This is going to be a tiny, tiny, tiny pool of water that we actually just maintain via a solar panel with a pump in a borehole. So what you're seeing is going to be completely gone. The evaporation is going to take all this water out. So we've got no fish in any of the dams here. But there are stories from people that grew up in this area and from their parents that actually many of these dams used to contain fish, but for the simple reason that these dams would never dry out. So they had actually stocked a number of these dams with fish. But the rainfall pattern over the past 100 years, the trend has certainly been on hotter and drier summers and less rain. So, we can ascribe that to whatever we want, but the reality, there is an element of climate change creeping in there. And that is pretty much inexorable. It'll take place over time. So at this point we won't even consider trying to get fish into these dams. I don't think there's any huge merit to that. Yes, look at this. This is like with this light on the backlight on them.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
In that sort of environment, sitting and waiting at a waterhole is an excellent strategy most of the time. Certainly in the Kalahari, where I was recently with my wife. You're supposed to sit at the waterholes and just wait. Enough comes down. Fortunately for us, it had rained substantially, and so, there were puddles everywhere, as I'm sure there still are around Swalu. Now, we have found no further evidence of Thandi the leopard or Thandi the leopard's cub, and so we are kind of widening the search, and we're into the hit and miss part of the tracking expedition. In fact, describing what I'm doing now as tracking would be to give it a compliment sincerely does not deserve. So we're going to drive down the Mati riverbed now, and we'll see what we can come up with. We're in the general area to which I think the tracks were heading, but she has eluded me once again. This does not surprise me, of course. There were also some lion tracks heading this way, so a chance we shall find them tunnels on a clearing somewhere close by. Animal-wise, things have been pretty quiet out this morning. Actually, I'm minded of the times that I was taking guests with me and we'd drive out into the freezing winter morning, but with excitement, and we'd only find animals sort of once started to warm up. Indigo Girl, you say you love a river cruise. Yes, me too. I love a river cruise, especially in the evening with a very large gin and tonic in my hand. We won't be doing that today. Certainly not in the morning. I think it's probably a little bit early for gin. And some people wouldn't, but I definitely think it is. was that? Emma is directing the show. Sort of gin has made her think of leak. Give our guests hot chocolate with amarula in it. We're speechless and very warm inside for the drive home. Or even an interesting plant. I'll take an interesting plant.
Sorry about that. I think James has been attacked by those evil gremlins we have. Now, I'm deep in a block. We saw the tracks cut off for the lions, so I'm sort of gauging their trajectory, and we're going for it. I actually do think the Incahumas are here. Where? I don't know, but they're somewhere. Now, there's no signs of vultures in the sky, lots of hyena tracks following the lion tracks, but there's no other signs of scavengers. So I don't necessarily think they're on a kill, but I do think they're here. So it's just a case of driving really, really slowly through the thick bush, trying to pick up on any signs. We've been following these lions for days. They were in the west and they've been making their way east. So I guess it was only a matter of time before they would end up on Djuma. Pete, you're right, it has been a while. I had them just before I left. A lovely cuddle puddle of the cubs. And then I think Tristan's had them a few times, but yes, it's been a while. The Incahumas have really sort of branched out and ventured into new territory, but they do keep coming back to Djuma. Of course they have to. If they didn't, then the Talamatis could easily come down from Buffelshoek and claim Djuma as theirs. I have to drive particularly slowly because the grass is long and you really don't want to drive over a lion. That would not be the best idea. And in winter, they're very, very camouflaged. That tawny colour of their coats, it's pretty much the same as the grass in some parts. I'm also trying to use my nose. When you're training to be a guide, you're told to use all your senses. Obviously not taste. It's probably not going to help you much out here, but you should always use your eyes, ears, and your nose. Lions smell. Okay, wish me luck, everyone. I'm going to do my best. I think we're going to turn off, have a little listen. And as I do that, we're going to send you guys across to Sean, who's also looking for some lions.
Okay, so we've got some updates. So we were looking at the lion scat, the lion poop, almost directly in front of us. And then the tracks of the lions go all the way up the road to sort of just off of our front left. And then they come this direction. Then they cut what is west. You can see the sun's there, so back behind us, they come this way. So we have, as we get to the end of this road, we'll then be closing a circle. And so far, the tracks have not come out anywhere else on our circle, which is both good and bad. You know, it's good because it means they haven't traveled too far. But it's also bad because it means they're somewhere in what we call the block in the bush. So this is the last road that we're looking at to see if any tracks come out onto here. There's a number of clearings, the one we just went through. There's a number coming up still. And there's also a water hole coming up. I think it's dry, but the hole's there. And we're hoping the lion's going to be somewhere in that area, either in the clearings or at the waterhole. If not, then we're going to have to do some actual on-foot tracking. And you can see, if you just look around us, it's quite thick here. Lots of bushes. These are mainly guaris. There's a few bush willows in the way, but very, very thick. Lots of long grass. So, you know, quite a challenge if you're walking through there to be able to walk, you know, follow tracks and see the lions before, you know, they see you and run away from you. So it is quite a daunting task, but luckily I have to drive the car, so I don't have to do that. That's going to come down to Rowan and Yapi and Nikki and Eric to actually go off there and see what they can find for us. But it's been a fairly quiet morning. It's been a fairly quiet morning this morning, and yes, I can have a chill time. So one nice thing when you're actually driving is your job's pretty easy. All I have to do is drive around, while everyone else has to do the hard work of actually finding the animals. But yeah, I was gonna say, it's been a quiet morning. It's probably due to the weather. Okay, so we've got a question: why do all the guys like to play with poop all of the time? And you know, the poop is actually very interesting. It is very interesting. You can learn a lot about, you know, you mainly do it when we're tracking, so you can learn a lot about how fresh it is. You can tell when the animal crossed there, you know, what animal it is, has it eaten recently, has it not, is it big, is it small. You know, you can learn a lot from looking at poop. So mainly when we're tracking, you know, if we're not tracking, if we know where the lions are, I'm not going to stop and look at lion poop. It's quite smelly. You know, but something like elephant poop or rhino dung, that is also very cool. That is very cool. That one, you can touch it, you can open it and look at all the whole fruits inside of it, especially the elephant dung. Sometimes it's got whole marula fruits in it, like January, February time. So it's actually quite interesting. It takes a while for you to get into that sort of level of detail, though. You know, you don't just become a ranger and start looking at poop. You've got to develop the desire. So just off to the right here, I'll stop over here. This is the water hole that I mentioned to you. You can see now it's just a hole. The water all dried up, but this used to be a natural spring. There's actually an underground aquifer, for want of a better word, a spring. And all the water used to come out from underneath, and this fat pan used to be full the whole year. But since I've been here, so the last 3 and a bit years, the aquifer underneath has dried up. And there's no water in it, as you can see. It's quite a big pan. There's this section here, and then off to the right, you can't see that. It's behind all of these trees. But there's a number of more little, what we would call a mud wallow. But as you can see, no lions. So we are going to leave this dry hole and see if we can find them. While we do that, though, we're going to send you across to Dylan. He's also having a bit of a chilled morning.
You've just had a bit of a gale that's popped up over here while we're sitting in here. We've been enjoying some lovely birding. Nothing, no crazy rare or threatened species. A lot of bulbuls, yellow canaries coming in. We've had Cape sparrows, Cape glossy starlings. So there's a nice diversity. But we just really enjoying the light, that backlight. And, you know, aside from talking about birds now, those of you who enjoy photography, and we've gone through this before, you know, you should always, the kind of classic thing is, I get that nice front or side lighting, but backlighting offers some wonderful opportunities. And what John and I are getting at now is, when you're seeing these birds coming down, as they fly off again, you get this incredible light coming through the wing feathers, the primary feathers on the wings. And it just really highlights the birds themselves. So that's quite a fun thing for photography. You know, if you're out on safari, chat to your guide and just say that try get opportunities for backlighting. It really offers some fun stuff. We're going to pan across slowly to the right. We've got a big flock of sociable weavers. You know, these birds that make these massive nests. Just bear with us. So Jean and I are trying to move as little as possible inside there. So, and every now and then, we don't always get it right, but you'll just see these. Okay, where that lapwing is, on the edge of that, where that lapwing is now, watch, all these birds are going to start coming down. So these are sociable weavers. They're always quite nervous at water because they're worried about a threat. So as he's waiting there, Jean-André's got it on those two birds there with the doves. Watch, the others are sitting in the tree above. They're going to start coming down now in a big group. Just give it a minute or two. Yeah, they come. They're starting to come down. And like I say, the birds are always super wary. There we go. Look at that. How cool is that, eh? But you see, super wary at water because this is probably their single biggest challenge or danger time, is when they're in a completely exposed environment like this. There's plenty of aerial predators like goshawks and lanner falcons that can go for them. And that's why and jackals, you know, your ground-based predator, jackals, wildcats, caracal, things like that. So they're super nervous. The slightest move. Okay, sorry, John, I'm being out of pain. We're going to pan back to the most incredible scene now on the left. Sorry. Look at these birds are bathing over here. Watch this. They're going to come out. They're all going to come down again now. We're just going to give them some time. I'm sorry I'm jumping around like this. This is entirely my fault. But I'm trying to cover all our bases over here. Watch, these birds are dust bathing. Oh, Beverly, you're right. There are so many birds. As it's warming up, more and more coming in. But those birds that are sitting now, some of them are actually dust bathing, and others are going into the water and actually bathing. And you're going to see that actually big sprays of water come up. So let's just keep watching them for a minute or two. You've just got to be patient with these things. Just got to be patient. And this, what you're seeing now is very typical. We're not disturbing them at all. They're going down, they drink, and they'll shoot out again. They go down, drink, and they shoot out again. And that's just because that fear of predation. But I think we're going to just keep the camera there. I'm not going to distract Chandra anymore because I'm really bad like it. I'm jumping around like a jack in the box, and it's pretty difficult to keep the camera moving around like that. So, but look at them coming down there now. Oh my word, that light is absolutely insanely beautiful. There's doves in the water on the end there. There's birds bathing. You got them. Watch those starlings on the end are starting to bath. Look at that. Look at that. Yes, it's flipping awesome. Clive, these birds don't migrate. We definitely... Why I love that question is because it leads on to a bigger conservation imperative there is the birds that we're seeing coming down to the water now are all residents, so they don't migrate. You get what we call... So migration is an interesting thing because our typical view of it is the perception is, well, a migratory bird must be going over massive distances, like whether it's from Europe into Africa or wherever, But migration can take place on a local scale as well. And we've got things here that we call altitudinal migrants in South Africa. And a nice example of that would be these sugar birds. We get sugar birds. They are not sunbirds and they are not hummingbirds. They're called sugar birds. And they exhibit what we call altitudinal migration. So depending on the time of the year, winter or summer, and what's flowering, they can actually move from higher altitudes in the country down to lower altitudes to get enough food. All these birds that we're seeing here are resident, but we do get a lot of migrants that come in during the summer months. Things like your steppe buzzards, steppe eagles, European bee-eaters. So we've got large numbers of those. But then we also get ones that don't migrate outside of the country, but they cover big areas within the country, like corrie bustards, secretary birds, things like that. And the challenge there is, how do you conserve species that are constantly moving in and out of game reserves?
Hello and welcome back to and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. We have been driving around a lot this morning, pretty much looking for anything, as there hasn't been too much in the last few days around, and still no luck yet. So I'm guessing what's happened is possibly the area we're in, maybe the pride of lions, that this is part of their territory. Maybe they've killed something big in an area that, well, we don't know exactly where. Because, yeah, there don't seem to be any tracks around of them. But not serious at all, because driving around here is just one of my favorite things to do anyway. And we keep looking out for any nice little opportunities along the way. It's a very nice bird, actually. Let's just go up onto the top of this little bush here. There's a very brightly coloured bird here called a Cape Starling. Very bright, glossy colours. Anyway, while we go from this bird here, we're going to send you across to another bird with James.
I'm afraid this bird has now reached Cape Town, roughly. It's flown away. Wait, it's going to land. There it is. Phew. It's not a bird that anybody who's watched this show once before will be unfamiliar with. It is our friend. Is it? Yes, it is. It is our friend, the juvenile batelier, who was born around here. The nest is quite close by here. And he looks like he's well, I don't know, he looks like he's up to mischief. Don't you? Yes, you do. There's a very blue sky. Yeah, they are quite white feet. I think, Lorna, for me, the most interesting colour on him is the bluish of his face. If you look at his face, it's got a sort of interesting oxidized copper colour, if you see what I mean. Sort of turquoisey. Excuse me. Such a peaceful morning now that the sun's come out. Everything's warming up, settling in. Anushka, again, I wouldn't know how to define that for you. I mean, this bird is probably as strong as an adult, just about. I don't know how strong that is, though. You know, the batelier does kill some of its own prey, but not big prey. So it's going to have strength, nothing like that in a martial or crowned eagle, which have to kill large prey by squeezing them and, you know, digging their talons into them. And, you know, a crowned eagle will break a monkey's skull. I don't think it's anything like that strength. So it's difficult to say, actually. He's just checking out the scene. You might think about having a fly. but probably a bit later. Hasn't quite warmed up enough yet. So he's just going to have a little preen. It is the most perfect blue sky, isn't it? On the same tree, I wonder if BK can see them, much lower down, we've got some of our friends, the squirrels. You see them there, BK?
Same tree.
Same tree on the trunk, not very high off the ground, probably only about 2 meters for 2 of them, and then one of them is only about 1 meter off the ground. There we are. Also doing the same thing, sunning themselves. I'm not sure how they don't get a headache lying at that angle. There's one running up now. And this tree's full of holes, and so it's got lots of squirrel nests. I think I've seen 10 or 12 squirrels on it before. That's so nice. The Battalier is now doing a little bit of a stretch. Gabby, you're 14 and wondering if we have naked mole rats here. We do not have naked mole rats here, but you may find that they are found at Swallow. I'm not sure where they'd be found at Swallow, but I think they probably do have naked mole rats at Swallow. And I believe you're fascinated by my socks. Well, my beautiful socks, which I shall give to you again, come from a South African company called the Feet Sock Co. You can find them on Instagram, Feet Sock Co. And they make lots of wildlife-related socks. I have the elephants, these are the elephant ones, and I have the lion ones as well. That's the Feet Sock Co. I don't know if you can buy them in retail stores, or if we probably order them online. The Battalier does not have socks like mine. The bird that comes closest to having socks like mine is the long-crested eagle. Long-crested eagle's got beautiful white stockings. But they are not nearly as jazzy as mine from the Feet Sock Co. I think these ones were actually belonged to my wife, in that they were slightly smaller than the lion ones, but I stole them from her when I came back out to Juma. She will be deeply upset with me, but it won't be the first time. All right, we're going to continue from here, for I have run out of things to say about that beautiful Battalier. We're going to kind of widen our search again and see if we can't come up with any other sign of our quarry, but I don't know. We'll see. Let's go up to Ngala.
So here we find ourselves another dry hole, but at the hole we also found all of these zebras. So that's pretty cool. What we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Was that? Yeah, that was number 9. So there's 9 zebras here. So as you can see, just behind them, on the left-hand side, is the dry hole that I was speaking about. So it looks like these zebras are trying to find some water. Now, just across the zebras, Further back on the right there's also a herd of impalas, which I'd imagine we're doing the same thing. Also just coming, having a look, seeing if they can find any water. Now these animals though, not too bothered by the fact that there's no water here, because they know, okay, if we keep heading in this direction, another about 2 kilometers, or maybe 1.5 kilometers for them, there's another water hole, and that one I know does have water in it. So I think they're just going to make their way over there. But you see how often they're standing still now. So they're walking in a line, and then they sort of stop and they look and they listen, and they walk and they stop and they look and they listen. And that is because even a dry water hole like this, you know, it would be a good place for lions, for leopards, cheetahs, wild dogs, whatever the predator may be. This would be a good place for them to wait. You know, because there's lots of game paths. Now the game paths are like these little pathways that the animals take. Lots of game paths around a water hole like this. So we've got a comment from OK, who would like to call them by their proper name. And OK, their scientific name is the prison pony. You know, their normal name is the zebra. Scientific name is the prison pony. So you can go with that, OK. But they do look like that. I mean, you get so many names. You know, we get guests that come here. The jokes that some of you viewers and guests say to us on safari are just phenomenally bad. Like phenomenally bad. Like every time I see a zebra with a set of guests that walks across the road, he's just counting you away. It'll be like 5 seconds and one of the guests will say, "Oh look, it's a zebra crossing." And then I just shake my head. I just shake my head and I carry on driving. But they enjoy it, and that's what matters. But you can see the impala is now also moving off. And you can see they're all heading off back towards that other water hole I told you about that does have water. What we're going to do, we're going to carry on here, maybe head towards that water hole, give them a bit of time to get there and see what is happening. But while we do that and shake our heads, it sounds like TAYLA has an elephant shaking its head.
Yes, everybody, we have made it back. We have found some animals. And guess who we're looking at this morning? Eating on a tree, pretending it's Susan. She's back. We spotted this breeding herd just out in the open. They're on their way, slowly making their way towards Leopard Dam for a drink, as they did yesterday. And we probably stopped about, 20 meters away from her. And I waved at her. And then she came strolling down the road towards us and shook her head and is now standing at the car. So I have no doubt that in a few minutes we will have another great Susan encounter. We'll wait for Suzette, a terrible two, to come and join. But there's a little elephant, and I'm sure that's one of the little elephants that got stuck under a tree yesterday. I mean, I can't believe that I watched an elephant get stuck because of its ears. I mean, that's just unfortunate. Yes, little one. I don't know if it was you that got stuck, but it was very entertaining, in case you didn't see that sighting. That's going down in my top 5 favorite elephant sightings that I've ever had. It was spectacular. And we've just been saying that every time we think that we've had the best elephant sighting, Gert and I get spoiled with another one. Here she comes. Hi, hi, hi. Hello, girl. Yes, Susan, what do you want? Every single day. Don't you get bored? Look at this. Do you not get bored of terrorizing us? And then she looks for sticks and things to throw at us too. Look, here she comes again. Hello, girl. Now, again, if you're worried, we haven't done anything to agitate this elephant, I promise you. She just sasses me so hard. Perhaps she knows that my dear old mother, Bossy Donna, is not here to boss me around, so she's going to do it for me in a different way. So, yeah, so she's there. She just comes up, she says hello. Her version of hello is shaking her head at me and then turning her bum towards the car. I don't know why she does that either. It's weird. And then she just stands and stares and eats. So, I mean, if she was really unhappy with us, there'd be a lot of trumpeting. She would maybe try and put her tusks through the car, but that's not the case at all. It's very playful with the way that she's behaving with me. It's quite amazing, actually. Like I say, trust your gut. And she is eating, so she isn't doing the displacement behavior where she pretends. It's very typical with elephant bulls, where they try and sneak closer to your vehicle. I mean, she just announced myself on the sighting and she comes out. So we know that elephants have got unbelievable memory, if not the best of all the animals. So maybe she does remember the smell of the vehicle, the smell of myself, or maybe she can recognize my voice. I mean, elephants have to remember all the different individuals within the herd that they live with, and they are able to do that by scent, so it must have something to do with it. For what reason? Settle, girl. Oh, where to? You know what, I must agree with you. I've been thinking the same thing. Now, it does look like elephants' ears have been cut with a pair of scissors. Those scissors with the you know, you can get the scissors that cut shapes from papers. It does look like the zigzag edged one. You're going to trip and fall, elephant. That's just the shape of their ears. They're not, but you know, some of them are more smooth than others, but they typically have got some kind of edging to them. I don't know what she's doing. She's on her knees and she was trying to go tusks into the ground. Stop. Now, if this was a really big elephant cow, I mean, she probably wouldn't be too happy with us. But like I said, this is all very playful. Hello, girl. Please, I wish I could speak to you and understand what I have done wrong, that you are always so upset with me every time that I see you. I don't know. I'm sorry. If I did anything, I apologize, and I'm sorry. I don't know what else you want me to say. Does that mean that she accepted my apology? I don't know. But again, if you have just joined the show and you're wondering what on earth is going on and what is this nonsense, this is an elephant cow that every single time I encounter her, since the first day I arrived at Pridelands, she gives me a whole bunch of nonsense. And she comes up to the car and she spends a lot of time around the vehicle and she shakes her head. But we're able to identify her with her tusks that sort of hug her trunk nice and snug. Is that why? Is that causing you some frustrations or the pressure from your tusks growing that way? That's not my fault. That's your genetics. Oh, now she's going all the way down. I don't know how this is supposed to be intimidating. No, stop now. Relax. I'm allergic to dust. You're going to make me start sneezing. She just kicked a whole lot of dust up in our faces. Luckily, she hasn't got those young elephants that were with her yesterday that she was sort of showing a lot of attention to, because they're not going to learn her bad habits now. Don't teach the young elephants naughty things. So she's a teenager. Or maybe she's not quite a teenager, but younger than that. I don't know. I honestly don't know why she behaves like this. And I'm so excited for when Mike starts doing. You guys all remember, I'm sure, Michael, we do his full name, Dane, and the Dane stands for Dangerous Anderson, who will be joining on the drives from tomorrow afternoon, because I'll be going on a break, and I'm going to show him this elephant, and if he finds her, I wonder if he gives her as much, or she gives him as much nonsense, but we'll see. You see, look at this. She goes like, and now she's doing the splits. What move are you doing? Dingo, I think that this elephant might be my spirit animal. Maybe this is me in another life. Because, I mean, I do silly, ridiculous things. I'm not on camera all the time. But I think that maybe that's why. Maybe she's trying to tell me something. Of course, I'm just being ridiculous. Stop. You cannot come any closer. I don't appreciate it. It's rude. She backs off. And then she just pretends again. She's thrown sticks at me. But when I say sticks, I mean branches. It's very entertaining. Are you not happy because you're not getting the reaction that you wanted? This also sounds like me. Chris, I don't know if there are any elephant experts out there. I would love some input. Please tell us, because I also have no idea why. And it's the same individual every single time. But like I said, it's not anything super aggressive. I don't think it would be the same experience on foot. I mean, I think it must be, maybe it's just this car. I've been in the same vehicle the entire time. Do you not like the polish that I use? Is that the smell that you don't like? I don't know, but she's very sweet. I really like her. I've grown quite fond of her, and I hope that I get to follow her life for a little bit longer. But that might not be possible, because elephants don't always stay in the same area, as we know. They seem to just be hanging around here for the moment, but I know that the day is going to come that this herd doesn't pass through, and it might be for a few days, a few weeks, or even a few months. But I'll be very sad when I don't get to see young Susan anymore. I love that she has now crossed her leg like that. She's very much a lady. Perhaps if I watch her, I could learn a thing or two.
Species that traditionally seen, well, not needing to drink surface water, but they will if it's available. We've still got a lot of bird activity coming in and out here, a lot of these with that magnificent light on these birds. And then one of the questions earlier posed to one of the other guides was about naked mole rats. The only species we have on Swallow are called Damaraland mole rats. And naked mole rats, to the best of my knowledge, aren't even found anywhere in southern Africa. They're actually the Horn of Africa.
Okay, so as you guys can all see, we got a leopard in the tree. Way down there. Now we're stopping here because I'm not 100% sure. There you can see the leopard climbing down. So I'm not 100% sure what leopard it is, who it is. As we turned off the road, we spotted it from the road. You can see that red carcass just sort of lights up. And then as we turned off the road, the leopard started to climb down. So I'm not sure how relaxed it is. There, you just saw it jump down. Okay, so I'm going to go for, we're not going to chase this leopard, okay? I want to see if we can get a look to see who it is. Now I'm thinking, in this area, so we're very close to our eastern boundary, I'm thinking it's either going to be that half-eared male that Nikki and Odie saw, maybe, 5 nights ago? Odie, 6 nights ago? 2 weeks ago, they saw this leopard at night. So I think it could be him. This is his sort of territory, and it looked like a male, just the size of its head, the size of its body. And he's not very relaxed during the day. At night, perfectly fine, but during the day, a little bit less relaxed. A lot of the cats are like that, or a lot of the leopards at least. But let's go have a look. So now you can see the trees over there, and you'll see when we get closer, you can actually see the carcass and the red, and that's what I spotted from the road, that bright red, and I was like, that's not supposed to be there. Okay, now we're going to go slowly. It looked like the leopard came down and went off to the left here, so off this way. So let's see, there he goes. Okay, so the leopard is moving away, and I was sort of straight in front of us in these knob thorns. I'm going to see if we can actually just come, and if we stop here. Okay, so the leopard is a bit shy, so I last saw it. If you just zoom out a little bit so I can see where you are. Yeah, so in there, like just behind that fork there, that's where I saw it moving. So it was moving sort of off to the right-hand side of your screen.
Behind this bunch?
A bit more to the left, but it was heading that way towards this bunch. I saw it like just on the left here inside these knob thorns. But look, we're going to spend some time here because it might relax. Might sort of calm down a little bit. I think it's been here for a while though, because if you have a look at the carcass, Odie, you can see the carcass has been quite thoroughly eaten. See, there's a bit of a rib cage left there. It looks like it was a male impala. You can see the horns just on the left-hand side there. It looks like a branch, but those are in fact the horns. And I'd say he's probably been on this carcass for at least the last 2 nights. He should still be here tonight. There's enough meat left. You can see that whole back leg has still got all of its meat there. But a perfect tree for him. Perfect tree. Lots of places to stash the carcass, lots of branches to relax on. It is. So it's a marula tree. And that's the one that he's chosen here. And a perfect area for us as well. A nice open area. Termite mound off in front of us, but we're far enough away from it. What we're going to do though is I just want to see, as I said, we don't want to chase him, so we're definitely not going to do that. I want to move to the left-hand side though of this marula tree, just to see, because sometimes if the leopards find an area like this in the long grass, in the thickets, where we can still get a bit of a look, but they feel very sheltered, they feel very safe. There's a hyena. There's nothing on the left there, Odie. There's a hyena. So I don't know if you can, oh there we go. So that's the top of the hyena there. You'll see it move now. So he obviously smells, because now the wind's blowing. He can smell this carcass. Most likely smell the leopard. That's where he is now. That's where I saw the leopard, right where the hyena is. So that hyena is obviously smelling the leopard. So now it would be quite interesting to see what happens. Okay, so John, I caught most of your questions. So John wants to know if the leopards on Ambiyandangala are a bit more shy compared to the leopards at Djuma, or if Djuma just have, I think he wants to know, does Djuma just have more leopards? So John, look, our leopards that we see often are very relaxed. You look at things like the Tabodi Tom, the Shitsalala Pinyala female and her youngster, as well as the Makoti male, are all very relaxed leopards. But as we head down into the southern parts of Ambiyandangala, which is where we are now, they become less relaxed. In the southern parts and in the western parts of Ambiyandangala, the leopards are less relaxed, purely because the areas here are just so big that we don't see these leopards very often. So they're not as habituated towards the vehicles and people as a place like Djuma, which is, you know, slightly smaller, and they see their leopards maybe a bit more frequently. So those leopards are a bit more relaxed. Yeah, you can see this hyena is still quite young. Look how dark its legs are. Look how it's colouring. Still very black. So still quite a young hyena. And he's just smelling around, seeing if perhaps this leopard dropped any bits of meat, any bones that the hyena can then sort of scavenge on. Doesn't look like it. You know, what is most likely smelling is where the leopard took the food up. We got a comment from Anushka. Now, Anushka says, yes, a super fluffy hyena. And it is indeed. I mean, look at all that hair on its sort of neck, down by its legs, very long fur. It is a very fluffy youngster. It is. What always amazes me, you know, is that, like this, the leopard's here. He's most likely watching us. And the hyena. He's more interested in the hyena than he is us. But he knows that his food is safe up the tree. Okay, so while we stick around here, see what happens with the hyena and the leopard, what we're going to do though is send you across to TAYLA. He's got a herd of elephants.
We do, and it's again the most amazing scene. It's kind of a repeat of yesterday, except they're walking under the marula trees that stretch right over the road. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, I'm going to try and keep ahead of them, so I'm going to start the car again, because they're moving in a straight line down on the road. So if we just keep ahead. Oh no, come to Leopard Dam, don't go that way. They're now going the wrong way. Maybe they're not thirsty just yet. I don't know where they're going. Okay, I'll stop for a little bit, because these are all the bulls. Most of the girls have veered off, maybe taking a scenic way around. What a beautiful sight, though. Someone's not happy in the herd. It was really amazing. Just after you left us, I'm not even joking when I say within a matter of minutes, there was a rumble, and then the entire herd of elephants stopped feeding and started walking, and then they all marched in the same direction. Even Susan left us immediately. She turned and she went straight towards the rest of the herd. So there they all go. Just slowly moving through the bushes, and I'm going to stop talking just so you can hear how quiet they are. I mean, you can barely hear them other than when they shake the sand off of the bits of grasses that they pulled off of the ground, or out of the ground, sorry. And then that's it. So if you're not paying attention and you're on a walk in the bush, you can be surprised by a whole herd of elephants fairly quickly, or in a vehicle. It's definitely happened to me a few times in the car. But what I am going to try and do is reposition. I'm going to reverse again. I like playing the reversing game. Except I need to make sure that I don't reverse into an elephant. This would be problematic. Okay, right. I'm going to just carry on following these elephants, but it seems as though there's some excitement at Ngala.
Okay, so as you can see, we have found a leopard. It just ducked down there because the hyena is walking past. You see, watch now. I don't know if you can see the hyena. Right, he's got the hyena there. So about 2 meters to the left of that hyena is the leopard. The hyena does not know. I think that hyena has no idea that the leopard's there. Phenomenal. I mean, we can even barely see the leopard, and I know exactly where it's supposed to be, at least. But I don't think the hyena knew it was there. The leopard's downwind of the hyena, so the hyena didn't smell it. And I don't think he saw it. But so much is happening because I think that's also a different leopard. That's not the leopard that was in the tree when we arrived. And I think that because this one's a lot more relaxed. Remember, as we came, the leopard jumped off the tree when we were still like 100 meters away, and the leopard in the tree jumped down. And it looked like the leopard in the tree was a bit bigger, looked a bit older. This leopard here seems to be younger. I saw a pink nose, seems to be slightly small. Look, I could be wrong. As I said, we were 100 meters away. So it was quite hard to see. Okay, we're going to try and move, see if we can get a bit forward. And let's see what happens. But I'm pretty sure it's a different leopard. Because this one just seems to be too relaxed. Yeah. And let me see if we can get around. It just seems to be too relaxed to be the same leopard. You see, it's actually coming towards us. It's going just to the right of the stick here. It's actually walking this way. Now, it will be very, very cool if this leopard climbs the tree and then the other one comes, because it doesn't want this leopard to steal its food. The hyena was fine because the hyena couldn't climb, but this one can. So if it's different leopards, if I am right, which I might be, then it could get interesting. Unless, it's a mother and a cub, or well, that's pretty much the only option. Or maybe a male and a female that might be mating, then they might feed together on occasion. So it could be that. There's just so many could-bes. Now you actually see what that leopard did is it moved. It was in a... Yes, I didn't copy the name there, but yes, a different cat. And it's incredible. I mean, you can see its head moving there. Okay, firstly, how incredible is that camouflage? When I look in that direction, I can't see anything. I can only see it. So I've got a little monitor here, a little screen that shows what the camera is seeing. And I can only see it on the monitor, not with my eyes. I mean, now look there, you can't see anything, and that's what I'm seeing. Phenomenal camouflage. But, so you see what he did there? He moved from like an open area. I'm assuming it's a he. I haven't seen enough to tell, but I think it's a he. Moved from a more open area into the section that's got the longer grass, so it is more hidden. And you see how cautious it's being. It's looking back in the direction that the hyena went, but it's also looking in the direction that I saw the other leopard. You know, I could be completely wrong and it could be the same leopard. This one just looks to be smaller. You know, I don't know, you guys at home, you have that ability to sort of rewind. So if we see this leopard, there, look, it's coming out. Okay, I'm going to whisper now. I got a bit excited. So you can see now, look at its size, and then maybe rewind on your YouTube channel and have a look. I'm 90% sure that this one's smaller than the one that was in the tree. If any of you are going to rewind and have a look, please let me know if I'm correct. But just, my gut's telling me this one's smaller. Just look at the size of the head. Okay, thank you. Because also you see it looking around there. Wow, I mean, how beautiful. You can see now in this grass, now that the grass is brown, how well these things camouflage. See how low it is to the ground. Watch now. It's going to move again. It's just looking around because where it's going to move to is a bit open. The grass has been flattened here, maybe by elephants, buffaloes, rhinos, hippos, whatever it is. But it's been flattened, so the leopard has to make it away across this open area. So it's just looking around to make sure it's safe. And you'll see as it moves, the sort of, everyone says, you know, you leopard crawl, and watch a better leopard crawl now. And you can see how just the muscles and the stealth it has when a leopard crawls. Although now it seems to be relaxing and not do anything that I said it should do. But at least it's getting us a much better view. Now I need it to look at us. See if we can figure out who it is. Now, it's got quite a big chest, you know, quite a thick neck. Okay, so we got a comment from Shenzi who's saying it does look a bit smaller. Shenzi, that's exactly what I'm thinking now. It's going the wrong way. Shenzi, you're right. It does look a bit smaller. This is a young leopard. It does not want to look at us. Oh, come on, I'm trying to see now. Because now obviously you'll be able to see the sort of genitals to tell if it's a male or female. It just needs to move its tail a little bit so that I can see. Which it's not doing. See, I wonder now where it's going. It's almost following the exact same path that hyena took. So maybe what it's trying to do is just to make sure that the hyena has moved off. Make sure that the hyena has left this area. Because obviously the hyena can attract attention. Attract other hyenas, attract vultures, maybe lions, maybe other leopards. You know, leopards, one leopard would happily steal from another. Okay, so apparently Chris and a number of you viewers are saying that it looks like a female. I do agree with that. When it did turn, I didn't see any sort of male genitalia, so I would agree with you that it is a female. Is a female right at the beginning, just before you came to us. I could see a bit of its nose and it looked pink, but you see down here in this part of the reserve, I don't know of any relaxed females, so it could maybe be a Nyala female that's come down the side. Otherwise it could be Shitsalala, maybe moving a bit further east now that her daughter's growing up. And taking, it's just behind the bush, taking a bit of a mother's territory, so the mother's moving a bit this way. But I'm not sure. You know, I need to get a proper look at her face. I'm going to go, which way is she going? She's right behind the one. I'm going to go a little bit forward so that we can see. No, she's moving away from us. There you can see she's heading away. But she's not running from us. She's looking. You know, if she was running from us, she would go down and actually move away. It looks like she's, as I said, looking for that hyena. Or maybe looking for the other leopard. I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's a different leopard. What is that? Don't mind. But you can see very alert. You know, the ears constantly moving, constantly changing from side to side. Whenever she does move, she drops down in the grass, goes nice and low, and then stops, lifts up, looks. So still very, very cautious. I can't see the hyena anymore. I think the hyena has moved quite a long way off. Okay, so we've got a question from Gold asking, would this leopard attack the hyena, or is that too dangerous? Is it something the leopard's going to do? Gold, no. This leopard will not attack the hyena. I mean, yes, it was a young hyena, but this is also a relatively small female leopard. And it's too dangerous, Gold. The leopard is too risky. There's no reason. As we saw earlier, the hyena can't get the food. So there's no reason for the leopard to attack it, Gold. There's no reason for that risk. The leopard gets injured, it can't feed itself. So rather, let the hyena sniff around the tree. Let the hyena be in the area. The leopard can hide. When it's hungry, it can just run straight up the tree. The hyena can't do anything. So there's just no reason to fight. That's the main thing. Gold, if the food was on the floor, I still don't think this leopard would fight. It's too small. It's too young. A big male leopard might fight against a hyena, but this is not a male and it's not very big, so it's not going to fight. I'm trying to figure out where it's going, what it's trying to do. Because it's not often that the leopard would follow after. Oh, listen. Just listen here, you can hear some growling. I think it might have seen. There it's going. So she just suddenly changed. Oh, the hyena's back, that's why. So I heard some growling. The leopard moved off. I thought it had seen the other leopard, but in fact the hyena's back. He just popped out of nowhere. I didn't even see where he came from. The hyena's just there, yeah. The leopards, yeah. So the leopard went off into the thicket here. I can't see the leopard anymore. But you see how quick. There, you can hear it. So there goes the leopard in this thicket straight here. So I'm going to keep quiet. Listen. Okay, so I can't. It stopped growling now. But as soon as it started growling, I mean, you heard that. Yeah, so it's just gone around there. I mean, I think the hyena may have just lain down behind the grass. That's why I couldn't see it. But the leopard obviously, okay, there. OD, can you get the leopard? Straight through the gap there. So you see the leopard's now looking in our direction. You see, if OD zooms in there, can you see it, OD? Zoom out a bit. Straight over there. Yeah. There we go. There it is there. Okay, so, it's a bit hard to see there. There's two leopards. Look. There's two leopards. There is two. There's the one closest to us, and there's the one in the back of the screen. There's one right there, yeah. There's one. There's two. So there are two. Okay, that makes so much more sense now, everybody. Did you see that one? The closest one that was moving there was the SHAUN one that we saw in the tree first. How incredible is this? There was a leopard right there the entire time that we just didn't even see. I mean, we were zoomed in there, and I was like, what is that? That's another leopard. This is phenomenal. There it goes there. So that one's a male. Definitely. Can you see the one off to the right there, Eddie? Yeah, there it is. No, yeah, there. Okay, so that's the male. That's the one that was in the tree at the beginning. It must be. But who is it? I don't know if any of you actually got to see his face. You guys have, as I said, the ability to rewind and pause. You see now the other one's following? Now they're both following. Okay, if any of you can, so there the other one's going right off to the right there. If any of you can rewind and have a look at that face, let me know who you think it is. I'm going to have to see. That one was a lot more unrelaxed. You see how, could it be moving away from the hyena? Yeah, the second one's just got there to that fallen over log. There, so they're moving further this way. Let's see what is happening here. Oh, I'm very interested to see who that could be. Males in this area, unrelated. So there it goes. Look. It might go back up towards. So I think that's the female that we just saw there. It looked a bit smaller. we're going to stay here. I don't want to go too close to the tree. The tree's just off in front of us because they might be heading back towards there. I don't see anybody now. But that male, as I said, could be that half-eared male. I didn't get a good enough look to tell you accurately. But just judging by that behavior, that unrelaxed response, that moving away, could be him. That female, well, I got no idea. I'll have to look back and actually look at some spot patterns, check some spot patterns compared to the Schutzerla female, the Inyala female, something like that. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to see what the situation is here, see if we can get another look at these leopards, see if we can find them. While we do that, though, we're going to send you over to Clive, who seems to have a snake skin.
Hello everyone. We've found something quite interesting along the side of the road here, and what it is a snake skin. So you can see it's all wrapped up in this quite thorny tree here, and it's quite long, probably half a meter or so long, but not very thick. So I think this is probably something like maybe a vine snake that we get around here, or maybe even a snake like a boomslang, which live up in these trees. But what it's done, it's come to a tree like this specifically with all these thorns, and you know, with us humans, we're shedding skin all the time, really, and a lot of other animals are the same. But with snakes, they shed it all in one go. With most reptiles, actually. But they've used the spiky tree here to really be able to scratch up against the side of the snake to pull the skin off. So it's gone in between like this, in between all the branches, to really put some friction on that skin and be able to pull it right off. And then I actually see right up here, this is where the head is. This is where maybe the start, where it started coming off. It's really stuck in there, but I can actually see the pieces of skin over the eye, over where the eye was of the snake. So really cool. But we've had a morning where we have been searching for lions and things like that and haven't really got lucky, but it's really nice to stop and see some of these smaller things along the way as well. Really nice to see this. I don't know if anyone knows why these snakes shed their skin, but obviously as the snake grows, they need to be able to grow into their skin. So they shed that, especially when they're young. It happens quite often, sometimes even every month or so when they're young. But as they get older and they stop growing as quickly, they shed it a little bit less. But it happens all the time with these snakes. Rafa, that's a very good question. The biggest snake that we get here in southern Africa anyway is a snake called a southern African python. I showed it actually on this live safari about 3 weeks ago. We found one up in a tree. But yeah, and that one, sure, it got to about, how big do you reckon it was, Marcel? Probably about 4 meters or so. It was a very, very big snake. This one, as I say, was only around half a meter. But yeah, there are some very, very big snakes that we get here. And it was fat as well. That one the other day was probably about that fat, which is really, really big. Obviously, with it being winter now and quite cold, there's not a lot of the reptiles that are very active at the moment. Even that python, when we saw it, it was very slow moving and yeah, really not very active. And even that snake that was shedding its skin, I'm sure it just shed its skin and now it's probably moved off into some bushes or rocks right up, yeah, maybe right up on the trees or on some rocks, warming up a bit.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Well,
Oh, we didn't have much luck with the lions, I'm afraid. I'm convinced they are. But if they're flat in the block, it's a huge block. Sadly, it's just not easy to find them. But we have found some wildebeest, and some warthogs, and some impala. Everybody's here. This is where the party's at. And of course, they follow each other all day. Not always warthogs, but the wildebeest and impala do. Are they on their little wrist joints? The young warthogs around it. Absolutely gorgeous. None of these animals are threats to one another. They don't necessarily interact. They don't have any sort of interspecies interaction. But it's safe to be around one another, and I would imagine they know the lions are around. I can see exactly where the lions entered our property. I can see where they traveled. I just can't find them. I'm not sure if this is the same herd that we had on quarantine for a very long time. We actually witnessed the calves at days old, and you can see how big they've gotten. You see that little one at the front, Dobby? That's a youngster with the straight horns. He got so big. It was around Christmas time that we witnessed the arrival of the calves. Toto, it's actually not too windy. There's a light breeze coming through. But I would say breezy. I really don't think it's too windy. I'm really feeling the warmth from that sun now. And just as an update before I forget, I did go to the hyena den and nobody was home. Slightly concerning. I've been sidetracked by the lions this morning because of course you can't ignore fresh tracks. But I really, really will do a hyena den search, I promise. No one was around. Now the youngsters, wildebeest calves, are born extremely precocial, which means they're very, very well developed, complete opposite of leopard and lions. So they're literally born ready, can stand within a few minutes, and they'll run within 5 minutes, which I just think is absolutely incredible. So we're going to move on from our wildebeest, but we are going to send you guys across to James and some buffalo.
Sometimes it's just really not your day, and you can tell that animals are purposely hiding from you when you get to a waterhole and there are 300 buffalo drinking here, and they, as one, turn around and run away. No idea why they've done that. They were all drinking very peacefully. We drove up here, we sat for 3 seconds. They looked up and then they ran. Still, there's some nice sound of them calling, belching at each other. Now, we had reports today of buffalo distress calls. And I think what you're hearing now is what was mistaken for distress calls, that and I think that was mistaken for a distress call, because we certainly haven't managed to find any buffalo being killed, nor indeed any buffalo that have been killed. Anyway, I think what we'll do is just reverse back off the wall here and see if we can get slightly more in amongst them, and hopefully whoever panicked them, because it would have been 1 or 2 individuals who decided that they were very scared today for some reason, hopefully they will not do the same again when we get closer. So nice to have buffalo herds around again. Like I say, when you're on foot, it's a little bit more nerve-wracking. When I was looking off-road today, trying to find Tandy's tracks, there were lots of fresh buffalo patties. There may be some lions that have them on edge, but the only tracks of lions I've found have disappeared out of the southern end of the reserve. So I don't, they could be on edge from last night. I mean, I just don't think that one of them died last night, because I think we'd find the lions on the carcass. All right, we'll have a quick look at these beefaloes while you go to TAYLA and some elephants.
They've made it to the dam, finally. All the elephants have come down to drink, although actually I don't know if it's all of them. I think that there's still some wanderers that could be coming on in, but they're definitely venturing further into the water than they were yesterday, and that is because it is going to be exceptionally hot today. I think it reaches like 28 degrees Celsius in the middle of winter. I mean, how bizarre. Not bizarre, I love it. It's great. That's why I don't appreciate the mornings that get lower than 10 degrees Celsius. It's freezing. So they might have a little swim or perhaps spray themselves with water. It would be nice to see some of the young elephant calves come out to play. Hopefully nobody gets stuck in the mud. Oh, someone got a tusk to the bottom. Is that Susan? It is too. Did you all see her do that? That is Susan, and she's not just bossy and sassy to me. She just tusked another elephant for no reason. There is so much water to go around there. This is definitely me. This elephant has got TAYLA Jane McCurdy written all over her. Oh, that was so funny to see. My goodness. Okay, so you know what? It makes me feel a little bit better that she's just all round got an attitude with everybody. So, you know, it's not just us that she doesn't seem to enjoy too much. I mean, how much space does one elephant need to drink? And especially not a fully grown elephant. Goodness. Oh, I'm so tempted to go and join them. Oh, I don't think that I would be appreciated, though. What happens if honestly, I wonder what would happen if I snuck into the water on the other end of the dam and then doggy paddled very subtly through the water with just my head sticking out like a crocodile. I don't think that they'd be too impressed with me, but I wonder how curious they would be. The other thing that I've also been tempted to do, which I won't, again, it's the only time I can practice self-control, is I'd want to throw a beach ball onto the water as well. Just float it over to them and see if anybody plays with it, because I'm sure that they would have an absolute time playing with a blow-up ball in the water. The trick would be to try and get it back from them. But we won't be doing any of that, of course, because these are wild animals and they're just living out their days. Oh, you're going to inspect the buffalo weaver nests, elephant? You're tall enough you could reach them. Going over to the tree. Don't have a scratch on that one, because the birds that are living upstairs will not appreciate that. It's just when, birds thought that they would be safe from, being annoyed by, I don't know, different predators, and now they have an elephant rubbing up the tree and shaking it. Susie, you said that Susan the elephant has now become your favorite, and you're completely gobsmacked as to why. I can't imagine either. I feel like all Susans are good people in the world. I don't know why I called her Susan either. I don't know, it just came to me in that moment that that's what she should be called. I don't think we'll be naming any of the other animals though. Just her, because she's my favorite, and hopefully she becomes your favorite as well. Oh, they're so calm. Do you think, because I'm full of ideas today, that if we recorded the audio of the elephants drinking, that you could play their sounds if you're trying to relax, rather than just like a waterfall or, a river trickling over some rocks? I think this is a much more soothing sound of them slashing through the water, and then I don't know, I would go for that. I'd buy that CD. Just animal sounds. Oh, the flatulent of an elephant too. That can be soothing depending on how you look at it. No one's splashing. I'm sad. I thought we were going to get some swimming elephants, but maybe we will. We'll sit here for a little bit longer and see if anyone is brave enough to dive down deep.
Okay, so there you can see the female now. She's moving a little bit. Now we haven't been able to... We saw both of them again, but the male's still a little bit less relaxed. And he keeps trying to move. He was making his way back towards the carcass, so we've now tried to move. I'm trying to get a picture of this female's head, but she's being very hard to get here. She's looking everywhere except at us, unless she's behind a bush, which has not helped to figure out who she is. But a lot more relaxed than that male. You can see now she's making her way back towards the tree with the carcass there. She's just on the right-hand side of the bush there. You can see her shadows moving through there. I mean, just phenomenal camouflage. So we're going to try. I don't want to... You see, I don't know where the male is. Yeah, no, yeah, so she is just to the right of this green bush, yeah. Just to there, you can see her face. But so just roughly where she is now is where we last saw the male. Now the carcass with the tree with the carcass is directly behind her. And there we go, so that's the tree with the carcass. There you can see it. A bit more meat than what I thought. You can see that whole sort of front chest, the neck, all of that still got meat on it. But when we saw this female move now, she had a big wound, or it looked like a big wound, on her back left flank. Now, that could have been from fighting the male. You know, maybe she caught the food, the male came forward to her, stolen the food, but then they've been quite close together, and they didn't fight when they were quite close together. So I don't know. I don't know if they're related, if they're mating, if... Tar, that is very true. We all have a lot of homework to do before this afternoon's drive. But how exciting is it for this afternoon's drive? We're going to come and try and identify 2 leopards. I'm excited. I'm excited. We've got to plan it well. Okay, so you can see there, the leopard's disappearing there. She's going to go into a thicket now. It looks like moving quite steadily. What we're going to do, though, we're going to leave them be. We're going to come back here tonight. Once it's getting dark, hopefully they'll be more relaxed, see what is happening, guys. But thank you for joining me for our safari here. What we're going to do, though, is say goodbye and send you across to James.
Here are our buffalo. They have not decided that I'm completely terrifying, all 5 feet and 8 inches of me. BK is also about 5'8", so between us, we're not particularly terrifying in actuality to the buffalo, and so they've relaxed, and they're now eating some grass, chewing their cud, and being tickled by an oxpecker. Ooh, BK, that oxpecker has picked up a monstrous tick. You see there? Ooh. Oh, that's very nice. Well done. Not only has it pulled out a monstrous tick, it's managed to excavate the hole that the tick has excavated in the buffalo. Mmm. Yum, yum, yum. Very nice. That's the remains of the tick you can see there. Yes, very proud of yourself, aren't you? Mmm. Lovely bit of fresh buffalo blood for breakfast. I hope that we're not going to have buffalo blood for breakfast. I don't think that's on the menu. She doesn't look particularly impressed by the whole affair, especially as she's lost one of her horns. Bad luck, old girl. at least you're still with us. All right, everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your questions and comments. We will see you this afternoon again at 1500 hours. Bye-bye.